6 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. So I'm just kind of like getting the lay of the land in here. Me and Mason, we like have like this weird process as we go through the show. Like we got to do everything in order. And one of the steps that I have is opening up the super text line. And did you see the text that's on top of the super text line?
Yeah, 7679.
How they described anatomy of the Mayor Freddie O'Connell of Nashville.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
It's one way to put it. Not a way that I could say it on the radio.
Oh, absolutely not.
Why don't you drop that in the YouTube chat so everybody knows what the text says?
I don't know if I can get away with saying that.
I think you can get away with it in the YouTube chat.
I don't. I'm not worried about YouTube. I'm worried about our higher ups.
That's why I'm making you do it.
You know what? That's fair. I'm expendable in your eyes.
No. Get Jeff back in here. Make him
Yeah. I'll pull him out of his meeting with Paul. Make him do this.
3205. Oh my gosh. Or 3005. Sorry. 3005. You really threw me off there with that text. I got some stuff to do, and I got very distracted. If you want to join the show, 615-737-9986. We are live on Super Talk TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. We appreciate it when you do so. Why do you want to watch a radio show on TV? Well, YouTube is actually very easy to watch on your big TV now in your living room. That's a good reason why. And all the audio that you hear on your radio, we have video elements for it during our show on the live stream. So Super Talk TV is there for you. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We appreciate you watching or listening. However you're doing it, that's cool with us. Yesterday, wild news. Executive order signed for ending federally funded gain-of-function research. It's about damn time. This, to me, is story number A. And yes, I said story number A because I think it's funny. Story number A is this ending of gain-of-function research. Story number B is probably the Nashville ice raids that are still taking place. Hallelujah. We're going to talk to Marsha Blackburn about those ice raids at 9:35. If you got any questions for the senator and you want to get them in, you can drop them in on the text line, 615-737-9986. But up first is that story number A, Trump signing an order ending federal funding gain-of-function research. This happened yesterday in the White House. It is an absolute historic moment, what just happened here, with the executive order being signed and gain-of-function research being ended. This was yesterday inside the Oval Office.
Relates to gain-of-function research. Gain-of-function research is a type of biomedical research where pathogens are adulterated, viruses are adulterated to make them more potent or to change the way that they function. Many people believe that gain-of-function research was one of the key causes of the COVID pandemic that struck us in the last decade. What this executive order does, first of all, it provides powerful new tools to enforce the ban on federal funding for gain-of-function research abroad. It also strengthens other oversight mechanisms related to that issue and creates an overarching strategy to ensure that biomedical research in general is being conducted safely and in a way that ultimately protects human health more.
It's a big deal. It could have been that we wouldn't have had the problem we had.
Right? A lot of people say that, sir.
If we had this done.
Yep, he's right. That was the signing of the executive order that officially ended federally funded gain-of-function research in America and abroad with our tax dollars. It's done. Now, nothing good has ever come from gain-of-function research. We all know about the biolabs in Wuhan, and we know about the biolabs in Ukraine, and we know that they're running biolabs here in America. That is coming to an end. Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, the NIH director, he said, listen, guys, you can't underestimate what just happened here. This is an absolute historic day in Washington.
This is a historic day. The conduct of this dangerous gain-of-function research, which aims at taking pathogens and making them more virulent, more transmissible in humans, many scientists believe is responsible for the COVID pandemic. The conduct of this research does not protect us against pandemics, as some people might say. It doesn't protect us against other nations. What it does is there's always a danger that in doing this research, it might leak out just by accident even, and cause a pandemic. any nation that engages in this research endangers their own population as well as the world, as we saw during the COVID pandemic. This proclamation makes it so that most science is actually poses no threat to human populations. The vast majority of science will go on under this as normal. The fraction of this research that has the risk of causing a pandemic, harming every single person on the face of the earth, we're going to put it, this proclamation, this executive order puts in place a framework to make sure that the public has a say, that if such a risk is being taken, that only scientists alone won't be able to decide that. That in fact the public can say, no, don't take this risk. And I'm really, really proud to be here with President Trump, who's signed this order, ending this research, and for the first time putting in place a real regulatory framework to make it go away forever.
Go away forever. Listen, I'm here for it. We all understand what gain-of-function research is at this point. I think everybody is abreast of the research that Dr. Fauci was doing on the taxpayer dime. We all understand that the virus was created in a lab in Wuhan and leaked out. RFK Jr. said, listen, no matter how safe these facilities are, you're never going to have a leak-proof facility. So the more you do this research, the more you endanger the American people. Seriously, and not just the American people. Let's be perfectly honest. We saw how quickly the pandemic spread, and by the grace of God, it wasn't as deadly as it was originally projected to be. But we saw it's going to spread globally. It's going to spread globally. You got to end this stuff immediately. That's what the executive order did yesterday. RFK Jr. had a moment to say some words, and he said, make no mistake about it. In the entire history of gain-of-function research, we cannot point to a single good thing that has come from it. Not one.
Mr. President, a gain-of-function, this is an historic day, the end of gain-of-function research funding by the federal government and also controls by private corporations on gain-of-function studies. This was the kind of study that was engaged in by the United States military and intelligence agencies beginning in 1947. By 1969, the CIA said that they had reached nuclear equivalency, that they could kill the entire U.S. population for 29 cents a person.
I mean, you understand how deadly this stuff is, right? RFK Jr. says that by the 60s, they had already reached the level of nuclear equivalency, and they could kill everyone in America for just the low price of 29 cents a head. You understand why this needs to be stopped, right?
That year, President Nixon went to Fort Detrick and announced a unilateral end to this kind of research, what they call dual-use research that was for vaccination and also for military purposes. He then persuaded over 180 countries to sign the Bioweapons Charter in 1973. That basically ended gain-of-function research around the globe until 2002. Until 2001, after the anthrax attacks, we passed the Patriot Act, and the Patriot Act had a provision, a little-known provision in it, that said that although the Bioweapons Charter is still in effect, and the Geneva Convention is still in effect, U.S. federal officials who violate it cannot be prosecuted.
Just in case you needed another reason to dislike the Patriot Act.
And that relaunched a bioweapons arms race, and that was driven by gain-of-function research. In 2014, 3 of those bugs escaped from U.S. labs, and President Obama declared a moratorium on future use, and instead a lot of that research was moved offshore to the Wuhan lab. And it launched bioweapons arms race all around the country, all around the world, so that China's engaged in it, developing all kinds of weapons using AI and CRISPR technologies that are really devastating. Russia is deeply engaged in it, Iran and many other countries. It's a kind of weapon that always has blowback. There's always bad news. And the justification for this kind of weaponry was, and these kind of research, was always that we have to do this to develop vaccines to counter a future pandemic. In all of the history of gain-of-function research, we can't point to a single good thing that's come from it.
No, you can't. You can't. And this definitely boosters up the people who said the virus and the vaccine were created at the same time, as you hear RFK describing how that's the applications for this stuff. We create the virus and we create the vaccine. And you know, it's just wild to me, though, the difference between the two administrations, right? Last administration, HHS was run by men in dresses. This administration, HHS Director RFK Jr. is getting up there saying we're ending gain-of-function research. And it's not just RFK Jr. You had the NIH director next to him, and you also had the FDA commissioner, Marty Makary. And he said, guys, you do understand all of this could have been avoidable if we weren't doing this kind of research inside the lab in Wuhan.
Unbelievable to think the entire nightmare of COVID was likely preventable. And you had good instincts early on, Mr. President, in suggesting it came from the Wuhan lab. That is now the leading theory among scientists. It was 5 miles from the hospital where it first broke out. So it's crazy to think that this entire nightmare was probably the result of some scientists messing with Mother Nature in a laboratory with technology exported from the United States, that is, inserting a furin cleavage site. So I hope this does some good in the world, Mr. President. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's going to do some good in the world. And Trump said, you know, with it leaking out from Wuhan, and you heard Dr. Marty Makary there, the FDA commissioner, say, you know, your instincts were good, sir. It's like I'm laughing to myself because I'm thinking, I don't know. I really kind of like the bat soup theory. I don't know about you. Who knows? It could have come from anywhere. It was always from Wuhan. Everybody knew that. 5 minutes online gave you that breakdown. But these labs are not as safe as you think they are. But it's just such a great sight to see the FDA, the NIH, and HHS are now aligned with a science-first focus across the board. And they look at the benefits of this kind of science, gain-of-function research, and they say there are none. They look at the benefits of these kind of biolabs, and they say there are none.
So it can leak out like from Wuhan, and a lot of people think that. I think I said that right from day one. It leaked out whether it was to the girlfriend or somebody else, but scientists walked outside to have lunch with the girlfriend or was together with a lot of people. But that's how it leaked out, in my opinion, and I've never changed that opinion. So it can leak out innocently, stupidly, incompetently, but innocently, and half destroy the world. Right?
That's right. That's right, Mr. President.
Mr. President, there are, I think, 3 leaks on BSL-3 and BSL-4 labs, our highest rated laboratories, almost every week.
Now, I don't want to belabor this point, but this kind of gets glossed over. RFK Jr. says there are 3 leaks a week from our highest rated biolabs. Did you catch that? 3 leaks a week.
That's right. That's right, Mr. President.
Mr. President, there are, I think, 3 leaks on BSL-3 and BSL-4 labs, our highest rated laboratories, almost every week.
Almost every week.
That's comforting.
Is this not terrifying news? Like,
my goodness.
But it also gives so much ammo to all of the conspiracy theories about, you know, all sorts of things like the Lyme disease being manufactured and created in a lab, or the meat allergy that you get from tick bites that was created in a lab. You hear that this stuff is leaking out 3 times a week, and it raises more questions than answers.
There's no laboratory that does this right. There's no laboratory that's immune from leaks, and this is going to prevent those kind of inadvertent leaks from happening in the future and endangering humanity.
I mean, let's just hope that they are confident enough and they're telling us the truth, that these leaks aren't going to happen, that this research is going to stop for good. I'm going to take their word for it for right now, but Lord knows we're 1 leak away from another crazy pandemic, and it doesn't have to be a leak from ours either. It could be Russia, it could be Iran, it could be China, as you heard the president say. They got biolabs over there as well. They do. In China.
China.
That's right. That's right. But this was a historic day yesterday, and a lot of reaction coming in fast and furious. RFK actually took some time to sit down with Laura Ingraham last night, and he went in on Anthony Fauci. I'll bring you that audio when we get back. It's 9:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand for my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, and it is time to get that cooling system service the right way, which is the Busy Bee way with Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, since you don't want to wait for a problem to pop up. Before you know it, it's going to be so hot out here in Middle Tennessee, and when your AC goes down, you are really going to feel it. Don't wait for that to happen. Get your system serviced so that way it's running at maximum efficiency all summer long. Now, whether you need that annual maintenance, repair, or even a full replacement, the guys that I trust are over at Busy Bee. Now is also the time, the perfect time to join the Beehive Club. For just $99 per unit, you get those 3 annual tune-ups, 10% off all repairs, front-of-the-line service, a $100 annual accrued replacement credit, no overtime or holiday fees, and exclusive Beehive member deals. Now, check this out. For this month only, all month long, you buy one Beehive Club membership, you get one free of equal or lesser value. You can't beat being a Beehive member with Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Give them a call today. Join the Hive, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, busybeehvac.com.
Traffic stops designed to sweep up gang members continue in Nashville. And we'll take a look at jury questions at P. Diddy's trial. Those stories coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. It's 9:27 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Han. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, by the way. I'm really torn on something. So I'm an assistant coach for my boys' Little League team. And they got a speaker for walk-up music. Okay?
No.
I mean, needed.
But I'm not a walk-up music kind of guy.
Oh, okay.
Right?
You a fan of WWE and a fan of walk-up music?
I'm not a fan of the walk-up music at Little League games. Okay, so here's my dilemma.
Okay.
They're passing around the playlist. All the kids are picking walk-up songs. Do I bend the knee for the boys and let them have a walk-up song? Or do I abstain and then my boys are the only two on the team without a walk-up song?
Don't let him be weird.
So we got to do it, right?
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Just get him some of the rap worship music.
I like that.
Yeah.
Bro, Lecrae?
For
Little
the record-
Lecrae. Yeah, Lecrae.
Not Lecrae.
Come on.
Lecrae is the fakest Christian rapper out there.
I mean,
Oh.
true.
Lecrae went to Diddy parties.
He did.
Oh, I'm
did.
sorry.
I
I
Holy cow.
have a
forgot
lot.
about that.
There's a lot of dirt on Lecrae. I'm not doing Lecrae.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll draw the
How
line
about
there.
Force Family 5?
Force Family 5?
Yeah.
What's that?
Man, I haven't thought about them in years.
Come on.
Whoa.
What is it? The Chainsaw?
Yeah.
The Chainsaw song? Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, I just texted
Look
the
up-
wife. I said I think you need to pick walk-up songs for the boys.
Look at the top hits of Winter Jam this past year. And I
Ooh.
think you'll find some good ones.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I'm always a Skillet fan personally.
You
but,
are?
like, I don't know
Always?
if that always and forever will be a Skillet
All right.
fan.
Well, thank you guys for helping me out.
Yeah.
I felt like that was the answer I needed to come to, but I felt like I needed you guys' approval.
Can't let the
It's
kids
okay.
be weird, man.
Yep.
Now let them be weird, but don't let them stand out.
We're already
Right.
homeschooling them.
Oh, you're the host.
Can't let 'em go
already
too
doing
far.
that. All right, give the kids their damn walk-up songs. All right, I will. I promise. It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, if you have any questions for Marsha Blackburn, we're going to be talking to her in moments about the ICE raids that have been happening and taking place in Nashville, plus the comments from the liberal elites of the city and how they're so heartbroken about the treatment of these illegal aliens. Anything you want to ask Marsha, get it to the text line 615-737-9986. We talk with Senator Blackburn next on Super Talk.
.30, I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Watch for some road work this morning in Spring Hill on 65, the northbound lanes at the off-ramp to I-840. That's exit 59. The effort to find illegal immigrant gang members within Nashville continues this morning. Channel 4's Joylyn Bukovac says that more traffic stops took place overnight in the area near the Tennessee Highway Patrol headquarters.
This is near Murfreesboro Pike, and in that area, our crew spotted on a transport van, unmarked vehicles, and troopers pulling people over. It didn't seem like anyone was detained or taken into custody from what we saw overnight.
Now, as for the 3 busloads of detainees that departed from Nashville after the weekend traffic stops, State Representative Justin Jones asked a THP representative about the identities and the charges for those who were detained.
So there's no documentation when people are pulled over and detained of who they are?
They be a stop on them, yes, but now whether they're detained by immigration, that was separate of us. We were stopping people that were possibly violating the law or were gang members, and then once they didn't have documentation, my understanding, ICE would then do it from that point on.
Metro crime statistics show in the South Precinct alone since the first of the year, there have been 10 homicides and 540 violent offenses. Jury selection continues in the trial against Sean Diddy Combs today. Combs on trial for sex trafficking and racketeering. 19 potential jurors have made it to the jury pool. ABC's Aaron Katersky has more. He says the people who were interviewed so far were warned of the explicit nature of the evidence.
Several potential jurors knew of Combs' cultural significance. The woman said she remembered him from making the band. A man said he liked to listen to hip-hop in the 1990s.
Can't nobody hold me down.
When Combs became a chart-topping artist. To remain in the jury pool, all had to say they could be fair.
Stocks are down this morning. The Dow Jones Industrial is trading 165 points lower. NASDAQ falling 128. S&P is down 28. That's the latest news. Weather's up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at USS United Structural Systems. It may be dry today, but this time of year in Middle Tennessee, the rain is always right around the corner. And if you're having waterproofing issues at your home, it's time to get them fixed. Now, when it comes to this kind of home repair stuff, it's easy to ignore. Well, it's hard to ignore, but people choose to. You know, a little water in the basement, damp walls after the rain, you hope it'll just go away. And sure, it'll dry up, but when the rain comes back, so does the issue. These small problems will never stay small. If you ignore the waterproofing issues in your crawl space and in your basement, it's going to lead to foundation issues. It's going to lead to mold. It's going to lead to wood rot. You don't want that. What you want to do is call the company that's helped over 30,000 homeowners across Middle Tennessee and Kentucky. You want to call USS, because when these guys show up, they're not showing up with a quota and sales pressure. They're showing up with a custom solution to fix your house's problems. Whether it's foundation repair or waterproofing, USS, they're the guys to call. If you see the signs, don't wait. Call USS today, 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855. United Structural Systems, keeping homes dry and stable. Online, USSTN.com.
Moment.
37 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Very excited about my next guest to talk to us about what's been happening in Nashville when it comes to the ICE raids. Joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline, Senator Marsha Blackburn. Good morning, Senator. How are you?
I am doing well. Thanks so much.
Hey, thank you for coming on the show. What is the status of the ICE raids in Nashville? I hear that they're ongoing, and what is your instant reaction to those?
Yes, we have heard also that the ICE raids are ongoing. We have heard that they are working with local law enforcement. And, Chris, there's a provision, the 287G provisions that allow local law enforcement to apprehend and detain these criminal illegal aliens, and then ICE can come and pick them up and handle the deportation. And they do that within a 48-hour period of time. And that's what I'm trying to codify in my CLEAR Act. But our understanding from Homeland Security is that the American people voted on November 5th for President Donald Trump to carry out these deportations. And what I have heard from many Nashvillians and people in Middle Tennessee is that they are pleased to see these deportations taking place. There's been concern about gang activity that had picked up in the mid-state area. Of course, we have seen gang activity in Tren de Aragua in our major cities in Tennessee. So people are pleased to see these deportations taking place.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think the citizens are pleased. However, when you look to the liberal leadership of the city of Nashville, we get comments like this from Mayor Freddie O'Connell saying that he's a bit heartbroken over all of it. Oh, you want to give me some audio, Mason? This is Mayor Freddie O'Connell, Senator.
And I am heartbroken that today many of our neighbors in Nashville are experiencing fear over family separation rather than the safety we all deserve.
So that's Mayor Freddie O'Connell and his reaction to the ICE raids. And I just, I know that he's spoken with Governor Lee, but hypothetically speaking, if you were the governor, what would your conversation be like with Mayor Freddie?
When we look at ICE and how they are carrying out these raids, one of the things that is important is these individuals that they are apprehended, these are individuals that have committed crimes. When you look at the carjackings, when you look at the home robberies, I meet with Angel families every single week who have lost loved ones or people that have been injured in auto accidents, and local law enforcement agencies who say we've had such an uptick in crime, and that is a cost to the community. These are people that entered the country illegally. They broke the law when they entered the country. They have committed crimes while they are here in our country. And the American people have said, Tennesseans have said, Nashvillians have said, we want to get crime down. We want to make our community safer. It is important for people that have committed these crimes to be deported.
What do you think having a leader like Freddie O'Connell, who is clearly putting illegal aliens over the citizens of Nashville, says about the state of Tennessee? And should we do something about leadership like this in the city of Nashville?
Well, Chris, it is important that we support the rule of law. And you cannot illegally come in this country. And if you, as a citizen, walked across the border and into Mexico and then walked back into the country and didn't go through a port of entry, then you would be apprehended. And very simply, what people are saying is, we welcome you when you abide by the law and enter the country legally. That is what people want to see. And I talk to people that are Democrats and independents and Republicans and Green Party, and they all want to see the rule of law enforced. And I think President Trump was exactly right on this. When President Biden had said he needed a new law in order to secure the border, no, we needed a new president, one that would enforce the rule of law. And that is what President Trump is doing. It's what the American people voted for on November 5th. It is what Tennesseans overwhelmingly have supported. And I think that what we are hearing is people are pleased that they are seeing these deportations take place.
Yeah, I think that the American people want to see it, but we look towards our leadership, and it doesn't seem like, especially on the left, that they have any interest in doing this whatsoever. There's news this morning that the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee has partnered with Metro Nashville government to launch a fund to support immigrants in the city following a weekend of the ICE detainments. And these funds that they're raising can be used for housing instability, childcare, transportation, food insecurity, and other urgent needs, but they say not legal services. Again, it just seems like over and over, the citizens of this state are being put last and put behind illegal aliens.
And this is one of the frustrations that people have had, is that it seemed that those that were illegally in the country were getting more services than people that are legally here and people that are deserving of services. And we've got a hearing in a little bit with our VA Secretary, Secretary Collins, and I've led the effort there to keep money, VA funds, from being spent to schedule healthcare appointments for people illegally in the country, which is something that was being done in the last administration, and making certain that those funds are used for our nation's veterans. Right now, we have a case backlog that grew through the Biden administration to over 900,000 cases in total that are waiting for benefit and health care services.
That's a damn shame.
We want to speed this up for our veterans and to make certain they get what they need, when they need, where they need it. And this is one of the things on our list, is to be sure the money appropriated to the VA for veterans is spent on veterans.
Yeah, that's what we need. Nationally, Trump has announced a plan to give a $1,000 stipend for self-deportations. I wonder your thoughts on the plan and how you think it'll pan out.
What we are hearing is that people are reporting in and are taking the ticket and the stipend and are choosing to go back home. My understanding is that Homeland Security already has a list of people. They are booking flights for people that are choosing to self-deport.
We're talking with Senator Marsha Blackburn on the Newsmaker Hotline. Yesterday, also at the Oval Office, there was a big executive order signed banning gain-of-function research, federally funded gain-of-function research. I wonder what your thoughts are on that and how confident you are that this research will be ending.
President Trump really committed to improving safety and security in biological research, not only in the U.S. but around the world. And so he moved forward with this executive order because this is something that showed what was happening with gain-of-function research. And we all know the stories that are there around Fauci and the things that he did. So it is appropriate that this happen. Senator Roger Marshall and I reintroduced our bill that would halt all federal research grants involving gain-of-function research. And we wanted to make certain that we continued to push this forward. We had it last year. Of course, it went nowhere. So under President Trump, we think it will go forward, and we're pleased, very pleased to see his executive order, which truly shows the importance of passing the bill that Senator Marshall and I have worked on.
Yeah, well, it seems like that's a bit of a frustrating point for a lot of American people. We see a lot of executive orders coming through the Oval Office, but we don't see a lot of bills that are going to codify this into law. What's your reaction on the House and how they've been slow moving things and the lack of action in Congress to cement President Trump's agenda?
And we continue to say, keep sending us bills. We in the Senate are also in the personnel business, and we approve the president's cabinet in record time, the fastest in modern history. And Chris, we do need them to take up these bills. He did an executive order yesterday that would repatriate vaccine and pharmaceutical manufacturing to the U.S. I have the SAMC bill that codifies that. And we need the House, as they only are in the legislative business, to be moving these bills and sending them to us. We've got a bill that would end collective bargaining for federal employees. The president has done an executive order on that. We need the House to also take that piece of legislation up and move it so we can get these things to the president's desk and not only make the tax cuts permanent, which we are doing in the reconciliation bill, but add to that and do no tax on tips. Do my bill that removes income tax from Social Security for our nation's seniors. And I'm so pleased the president supports that.
Where do you think the lack of action and a sense of urgency in the House is coming from? Do you think it's derived from leadership and Mike Johnson, or do you think it's happening elsewhere?
I don't know. I haven't really had a conversation with anybody in the House about their pace. I do know there are some that are trying to move forward and get some of these bills out of committee and off the floor. And it is a time for Republicans to say, all right, let's work as hard as we can. Let's come to an agreement. And whether it is the tax cuts or the no tax on tips, or it is some of the other bills that we have, like the no gain of function research, things of that nature. Let's get together and let's move these as quickly as we possibly can.
Hey, I agree. We got about 30 seconds left, Senator. Is there anything else you wanted to bring to the table while we have you on the line?
You know, I would encourage, I would encourage your listeners, stay in touch with us. We have a newsletter that we send out every single Friday, or they can find me on social media, but we are busy. Lots of legislation, lots of moving parts. As I said, we are doing some things around what is happening with illegal immigration. We're so pleased with the great work the president has done. We've got legislation that deals with inflation and getting that down and making the tax cuts permanent. We're working with Tennessee companies on tariff issues. Our goal is to get President Trump's agenda across the finish line and to make certain that people that voted to see things change with President Trump's agenda, that they see the change they expected to see.
Senator Marsha Blackburn on the line. Real quick before I let you go, I have to ask you, the people want to know, when can we expect an announcement for you running for governor?
We are strongly considering it, and we'll have more to say later.
All right. I appreciate the call. And if you want to make the announcement on my show, you know you're more than welcome to.
Thanks, Chris. Bye now.
Appreciate it. It's 9:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Do you think that do you think she liked the question about running for governor at the end?
She was expecting
I think
it.
it threw a curveball in there.
I feel like everybody knows that that's coming, right? Yeah. Why haven't they announced yet? Do you know? Is there any reason why they haven't announced that yet?
I can't think of one, like what would stop her now, other than she feels like she's got it in the bag already.
That very well could be the case. That was Senator Marsha Blackburn on the Newsmaker Hotline. Is 9:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand, and I got to tell you about my friends over at Better Water LLC. If you are tired of weird smells coming from your water, if you're tired of stains after you wash your clothes in the laundry machine, or just plain bad tasting water at your house or your office, these are the guys you need to call. Think about what Better Water can do for you as like a giant Brita filter for your entire house, or scaled down for under your sink, or even your whole business. And they can handle everything. They'll remove the sulfur from your water, the iron, the chlorine, the bacteria, even E. coli. Yes, E. coli could be in your water. Not for long if you call Better Water LLC. See, whether you need reverse osmosis, water softeners, specialized filters, UV lights, Better Water has you covered. They're a local company based out of Smyrna, serving all of Middle Tennessee, and they're already treating treating the water at your favorite coffee shop and the hospitals that you visit around town. So stop drinking the junk out of your tap and give Better Water LLC a call today. 615-355-6063. 615-355-6063. They'll test your water for free if you tell them that Chris Hand sent you. You can find them online, betterwater.com.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia isn't off the hook. The Justice Department is digging into his past. That's coming up here at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 56 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. In about an hour, I got a great guest coming in, Anthony Watson. He's a former Olympian, now Turning Point USA contributor, and he's He's stopping to speak with some kids here in Middle Tennessee, about the good things, America, capitalism, being patriotic, loving your country. He does this all over the country. He's actually, since becoming a Turning Point USA contributor, has hosted over 250 events on high school and college campuses. He's got a great story. We're going to be looking forward to that conversation on the way at 11 o'clock. RFK last night had a great conversation with Laura Ingraham, talking about that gain of function executive order that was signed, shutting down gain of function research with federally funded gain of function research. But he did not hold back when it came to Anthony Fauci yesterday on Fox News with one Laura Ingraham.
As you pointed out, gain of function studies the kind of science that is designed to make microbes and pathogens more virulent, more transmissible, and more deadly. It was in this country, they started doing it in 1947, the military and the intelligence agencies, in order to develop bioweapons. In 1969, President Nixon banned it all and shut down Fort Detrick, shut down all the labs. That ban, and then signed the Bioweapons Convention. That ban lasted till 2001. And after the anthrax attacks, Anthony Fauci restarted the arms race and the bioweapons arms race, and did it under the pretension of developing vaccines, because of the same science that you develop bioweapons and vaccines. In 2014, 3 of his bugs had escaped, and 300 scientists wrote letters to President Obama asking him to shut down Anthony Fauci. President Obama declared a moratorium, but instead of shutting down his experiments, he moved them offshore, mainly to the Wuhan lab. And now, the principal institutions of our government, the CIA, the FBI, the State Department, Department of Energy, all say that it is most likely that those experiments resulted in the COVID-19 pandemic beginning in 2019.
And this is something that we've all known for a while, right? We're all smart enough to understand that. But what he did say about Anthony Fauci, which was a bit new, is he went on the record and said Anthony Fauci probably asked for that pardon knowing that he had some liabilities when it came to gain of function research.
Do you think this is the reason that Anthony Fauci was given a pardon by Joe Biden, and that in some way is linked to this gain of function funding?
I don't know what was going on in Joe Biden's head, but I think that Anthony Fauci probably asked for that pardon, knowing that he had some liabilities here that were more than reputational. They were legal liabilities.
Fauci needed that pardon. I'm not going to get inside Biden's head. Nobody knows what's going on in there, not even Joe. But I do understand that Fauci had some liabilities, not just reputation, but legal liabilities, and that's why he asked and or begged for a pardon, according to RFK Jr. We got a lot more to talk about. Hang out with us, 10 o'clock, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 10 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. A couple of construction sites this morning, or road work, make that, in Franklin, that's causing some delays. 65 northbound at the off-ramp to eastbound I-840. There's the off-ramp there is blocked by that road work, and you've got a right lane blocked off on I-40 eastbound right at the I-65 exit, same road work area. ICE-related traffic stops are still ongoing, according to Channel 4, which reports seeing ICE agents and highway patrol officers pulling cars over in South Nashville overnight. Meantime, Mayor Freddie O'Connell says those traffic stops make him sad.
This is a tough moment, and I am heartbroken that today many of our neighbors in Nashville are experiencing fear over family separation rather than the safety we all deserve.
He told reporters that he has sent letters to THP requesting the names of those who were detained in the weekend traffic stops. Governor Bill Lee was asked to comment on the arrests as well. Here's WSMB's Lydia Fielder.
He said, quote, Tennessee has a long track record of stepping up to secure our nation's borders and strengthening public safety. President Trump made it clear that states would play a major role in enforcing immigration laws and removing the most violent offenders. And Americans overwhelmingly elected him to do so. End quote there from Governor Lee.
The Justice Department is investigating the 2022 traffic stop of Kilmar Abrego Garcia here in Tennessee. Body camera footage shows state troopers believe that Abrego Garcia was trafficking humans, but they let him go anyway.
Sources tell ABC News investigators recently met with an inmate in Alabama. The owner of the SUV Kilmar Abrego Garcia was driving when he was pulled over in Tennessee in 2022.
You got a bunch of people in here, don't you? It's one for shit. Yes. Go back to work.
Troopers let him go with a warning. Their agency says the FBI made the decision not to detain him. Word of the new Justice Department probe comes as administration officials face a Friday deadline to give depositions, with a federal judge ordering the government to facilitate Abrego Garcia's release from a Salvadoran prison. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
President Trump and Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney are meeting at this hour at the White House for a high-stakes and possibly tense meeting amid a tariff trade war. Carney's visit comes on the heels of his election win to replace Justin Trudeau. And Israel has begun a bombing campaign on Yemen's capital city of Sana'a. The Israeli military saying in a statement that its fighter jets have struck and dismantled Houthi terrorist infrastructure at the main airport. That attack comes after a Houthi ballistic missile penetrated Israel's Iron Dome and hit near Tel Aviv's international airport on Sunday. Stocks are trading lower today as the Fed begins its two-day meeting, and it will wrap up tomorrow, but there's very little chance that Jerome Powell will lower interest rates. The Dow Jones Industrial is trading down 133 right now. That's the latest news. Weather's up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
It's 10:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand. Hey, how are you? Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. I didn't expect the YouTube chat to explode into Little League walk-up songs, but it did. It did. A lot of good suggestions in there.
Yeah, I saw some NF thrown in there.
Yeah, NF is good.
I like NF. I agree with, who said it?
Yeah, he said it. I don't know if you want your kid depressed at the plate.
Yeah, it's like not going to be swinging at full effort if you're in that mood for sure.
NF is good, man. There's a lot of good like Christian rap that's been coming up.
Yeah. I found some really, really good clean artists like that, like NF, that they're Christians who rap. It's not always exclusively just Christian, like singing about Christian stuff. It's in his lyrics if you listen to him.
Well, it's like 21 Pilots.
Yeah.
You can hear the Christianity in their lyrics, and they're
sure.
not like exclusively a Christian artist.
Yeah, no, they are Christians who make music.
Imagine Dragons, same thing. They're
Switchfoot.
Christian artists. Yeah,
Switchfoot, a great example.
Exactly. So we're gonna let the boys have walk-up songs. Don't worry. Even though personally, I'm not like a fan. I just don't understand why we're doing this. But
now I do give you permission to bat down bad choices.
Yeah,
if they choose like the worst song ever, I don't know.
Like Baby Shark. What? You know what? I got a good idea for Bishop, and Bishop is my 5-year-old. He'll take this. How about Cars for Kids as your walk-up song? I'm texting the wife.
Make it a video and then put it on your stories. That way you get free advertisement for them.
Texting the wife. Cars for Kids for Bishop. Hold on.
That's so good.
Hold on, I really got to do this.
He's got to jump up and down. He's going to be so excited.
Right.
He's like, yeah!
Sent Cars for Kids for Bishop.
Yeah, I'm still sad that they took it off for a while.
Yeah, is that coming back?
I think it's, fingers crossed, man.
Isn't there like a big conspiracy theory around Cars for Kids?
In what way?
It's like they're not up to par.
Interesting.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, you shouldn't be putting
rabbit
kids
holes
behind cars.
Yeah.
Behind the wheel, at least.
Yeah.
Just saying.
All right. So I appreciate all you guys on the YouTube chat. I was reading those during the break, and I had a good chuckle. If you're watching us on YouTube, Super Talk TV, we are live. Hit like, hit subscribe. We do appreciate it when you do. My boys will not get walk-up songs unless you hit like and subscribe. Actually, I already said that they would get them. All right, next game. If you want the boys to have walk-up songs, hit like and subscribe. A lot of news to get to. So yesterday, Trump had this big press conference, okay? And he had this big press conference to announce that we're going to have the NFL draft on the Washington Mall in 2027. And I don't care. I don't care. I don't care where you hold the draft. I prefer it not to be in Tennessee, personally, because it gets too crowded. Anywhere else, I'm fine with. But they had a big press conference about it.
Yeah, I was like, we did the NFL draft 2019.
And
it was a mess.
It's soft.
Nobody's
like, oh man, can't wait to have that back.
Nah.
Well, actually, I take that back. I think the sports guys over on the zone would like it back. But
they probably blow up. But
other than sports guys, nobody cares where the draft is going to be. But they had a big press conference inside the Oval Office, and you had Josh Harris, who's the Washington Commanders owner. You know, the team formerly known as the Washington Redskins. You had Roger Goodell, and you had Mayor Muriel Bowser. Not to be confused with a Super Mario villain. Bowser was there. And they're announcing all of this. And I noticed something that, I don't know, I didn't see many people in the media pick up on this, but I totally just noticed this immediately. Listen to this exchange when they're announcing that the draft is going to take place in D.C.
Celebrate the United States of America, the NFL, and the Washington Commanders. And President Trump, we leave on your desk a Trump jersey. You are the ultimate commander, so it is a Commanders jersey. There's no bird on it, but we appreciate you and thank you for everything you've done, and look forward to the future.
So they bring him a jersey. Now, I've watched many celebrations with championship teams in the White House, and Donald Trump always holds up the jersey. This jersey was left on the desk a few feet away from the podium, and I think it's because Donald Trump is a Washington Redskins guy, and he was not about to support the Washington Commanders. In fact, it was a couple weeks ago. He was like, "We gotta bring back the Cleveland Indians, and we gotta bring back the Washington Redskins. What are we doing?" I don't think he likes the Commanders, so he didn't lift up the jersey. Now, that was a small portion of what happened at that press conference, and the big thing that happened as the press started asking questions was you still had Roger Goodell and Mayor Muriel Bowser, not to be confused with the Super Mario villain, standing behind him awkwardly as he's answering all sorts of questions. And the press throws questions at Trump just like they would any other day. They don't give a damn who's behind him. So they start asking about things like, immigration and the $1,000 sweepstakes for illegal aliens to be sent home. And Donald Trump answered this. But if you're watching on Super Talk TV, you'll see the video. I was so distracted during this presser and during these answers because of the awkwardness of Roger Goodell and Mayor Muriel Bowser, not to be confused with the Super Mario villain, standing behind Donald Trump, just cringing in their skin and wishing that they weren't there. So one of the first questions that was asked, of course, immigration and the $1,000 migrant sweepstakes.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Tell me about the program that's just been introduced to give undocumented immigrants living in the United States
About me?
$1,000 to self-deport. Can you just tell us a little bit?
The new program, yeah. We have millions of people that have come into this country illegally through an administration that didn't know what they were doing. They didn't have a clue. And now we find out officially they didn't because the president was incompetent. But
Are you watching Goodell in the background and Bowser? And now we know they didn't have a clue because the president was incompetent. Goodell just like gulps. He's like, "Oh gosh. Oh no."
Yeah, very tight lips. Like,
what did I sign up for?
Oh no.
They didn't because the president was incompetent, but I could have told you that before. But what we thought we'd do is a self-deport, where we're going to pay each one a certain amount of money, and we're going to get them a beautiful flight back to where they came from, and they have a period of time. And if they make it, we're going to work with them so that maybe someday, with a little work, they can come back in if they're good people, if they're the kind of people that we want in our company, industrious people that could love our country. And if they're not, they won't. But it will give them a path to becoming, to coming back into the country. If they miss that limit, they're going to be taken out of our country.
Mayor Bowser, the mayor of D.C., she's just cringing uncontrollably behind him. She is slowly but surely inching her way to the left to get out of the frame with President Trump. Roger Goodell, he has no idea what to do in this situation. And Trump is just being Trump.
And they will never get a path to come back in. And it'll be a much tougher process. And it's called self-deportation. And by doing that, you're talking about so many millions of people. By doing that, we've taken out thousands of terrorists, drug lords. What we've done is amazing. And I'm sure Tom Homan and Kristi Noem have done an incredible job. They really have done an incredible job. But it's a hard job. So we're going to have a self-deportation where they deport themselves out of our country. And we'll work with them, and we're going to try. And if we think they're good, if they have, the people we want in our country, they're going to come back into our country. We'll give them a little easier route. But if they don't work, and if we take them out after the date, then they're never coming back.
That's Donald Trump. Now that we have a little bit more clarity on the self-deportation stipend, if you will, I do wonder what your thoughts are. 615-737-9986. We did this a couple weeks back when the idea was initially floated, and I was a fan of it, just as, barring any unforeseen circumstances. At $1,000, you're like, if we're just doing dollars and cents here, we're saving a lot of money. We are. I wonder if you support this program at $1,000 stipend, 615-737-9986. I also wonder how Mayor Freddie would have done standing behind Trump in this kind of situation. The mayor who's heartbroken over the ICE raids that are taking place in the city. Ongoing, mind you, ongoing. He's just heartbroken. He's heartbroken, Mayor Freddie is. I don't think he would have done any better than Bowser standing behind Donald Trump in this situation. Might have done worse, actually. I think she might have been a little bit more prepared for that than Freddie would have been. Then the focus during this press conference shifted to foreign policy, and the conversation went towards Canada and the new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, who is going to be visiting the White House today. Mark Carney is the new Prime Minister of Canada, the Liberal Prime Minister, and they wanted to know, what's your expectation for the meeting with Mark Carney that's happening today?
Expectation for your meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister tomorrow?
I don't know. He's coming to see me. I'm not sure what he wants to see me about, but I guess he wants to make a deal. Everybody does. They all want to make a deal because we have something that they all want. We have something that they all want. China wants to make a deal very badly. You see what's happening to China. China's being decimated, and I don't want that to happen. But they have to make a fair deal. We were losing hundreds of billions of dollars a year. We were losing think of it, on our trade policies with Biden. We're losing $5 billion a day. I think Josh, as a great businessman, would not let that happen too long, right? How many groups can lose $5 billion a day? If you lose $5 billion one day, that's the end of that company, right?
I mean, and again, Roger Goodell, the owner of the Washington Commanders, and Mayor Muriel Bowser standing behind Donald Trump as he just roasts Biden and the trade deficiencies that we had, losing $5 billion a day in the Biden administration on trade. And they're all just so uncomfortable. They are squirming in their skin as Donald Trump is answering these questions. Now, then we had Fox News reporter Jackie Heinrich weighed in with a question. And Jackie Heinrich, she's been like slowly edging over to anti-Trump hysteria, a touch of the TDS, if you will. She was very upset, Jackie Heinrich was, about the AP being removed from the White House press briefings because they were dead naming the Gulf of America and calling it the Gulf of Mexico. We don't like dead naming around here. It's the Gulf of America now. So Jackie Heinrich has a hard-hitting question for Donald Trump about him sharing an image of himself dressed as the Pope on Truth Social. And I think Jackie wants an apology.
Some Catholics were not so happy about the image of you looking like the Pope.
Oh, I see. You mean they can't take a joke? You don't mean the Catholics. You mean the fake news media. Not the Catholics loved it. I had nothing to do with it. Somebody made up a picture of me dressed like the Pope, and they put it out on the Internet. That's not me that did it. I have no idea where it came from. Maybe it was AI, but I know nothing about it. I just saw it last evening. Actually, my wife thought it was cute. She said, "Isn't that nice?"
My question about
Actually, I would not be able to be married, though. That would be a lot. I'd have to the best of my knowledge, popes aren't big on getting married, are they? Not that we know of. No. I think it's the fake news media that, they're fakers.
My question, though, sir, was about the fact that it was put out on the White House account. Even though it was AI generated, it was a joke, it was a meme. Does it at all diminish the substance of the official White House account to have it go out on that particular channel?
Give me a break. It was just somebody did it in fun. It's fine. Have to have a little fun, don't you?
I just love how he responds to her. Give me a break. Jackie Heinrich, take it easy. We understand that you're now anti-Trump. Like we get it. We get it. You don't like Orange Man. Orange Man bad. Got it. Jackie Heinrich, she's angling for a job over at CNN. The biggest question, though, during this press conference came from Zero Hedge. And Zero Hedge wanted to know Donald Trump's thoughts on the Nord Stream pipeline being blown up during the Biden administration, which, as far as I know, this question has not been asked yet.
First, I just want to thank you for letting us in here. I'm with Zero Hedge, and the last administration banned us on social media, so we're really grateful to be in the White House. And this is not exactly sports related, but I've been dying to ask you this question for a long time, which is that 2.5 years ago, the Nord Stream pipeline blew up. Yeah. And despite what people like John Brennan and all the hawks said, you were one person who said Russia probably did not blow up its own pipeline.
Yeah, if you can believe, they said Russia blew it up, yeah.
And so I'm wondering, now that you're president, if you would consider launching a formal investigation into what happened there and who actually did blow it up.
Well, probably if I asked certain people, I'd be able to tell you without having to waste a lot of money on an investigation. But I think a lot of people know who blew it up. But I was the one that blew it up originally because I wouldn't let it be built. And then when Biden got in, he allowed it to be built. And it's very interesting. But I think Russia, with the price of oil right now, oil's gone down. I think we're in a good position to settle. They want to settle. Ukraine wants to settle. If I weren't president, nobody would be settling.
That's Donald Trump. He kind of says, you know exactly who blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. We all do. It's 10:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
For traffic stops related to an ICE operation in South Nashville, and police break up an occupation of a college campus building overnight. We've got that and more coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joan Jones in the newsroom, 1026 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners. You get those at betterwater.com. You can listen to the show anywhere, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, or the FM dial. You can watch the show. We are live on Super Talk TV, which is on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and our personal favorite, YouTube. Head on over to YouTube, hit like, hit subscribe, and jump inside the most red-pilled YouTube chat going. Right there on the Super Talk 99.7 WTN YouTube page. Did I say hit like and subscribe? Do it again. Then make a new account and like and subscribe one more time. Appreciate it. 615-737-9986. What do you think about the $1,000 stipend for illegal aliens to go on home? Steve in the borough, you're up first. What's up, Steve?
Hey, Chris. Hey, man. Hey, great show. Yeah, this is really a strong issue with me. I'm all for the stipend, the self-deportation, I think, because of the reason it kind of goes around the court cases. We don't have to worry about all that. They can just make the choice to leave on their own. So I see the good point of it. But I think Mexico is responsible for that. I think they should be paying for it. And because no matter if the illegals that are going to do it, if they're from Mexico or not, they basically came into Mexico to get to our border, or they came through Mexico to get to our border. And we had that almost fixed at one point. And then Mexico just kind of turned their back on everything and just let it happen. So I think we should force tariffs on them and make them pay for this self-deportation issue. And another thing I think they should do is build one of those maximum security penitentiaries like they did in El Salvador. They should build a bigger one in Mexico and start getting ready to start filling that thing up because, you know, the cartels are the ones that pretty much ran the whole show with the smuggling. And it's not going to stop unless we put all them guys where they need to be.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. I don't know if we're going to be able to get Mexico to pay for it. And I appreciate the call, Steve. I don't think that's going to be realistic. Just like Mexico's going to pay for the wall, it didn't really pan out. But I do know that we're spending $17,000 per illegal alien to go chase them down in the streets and arrest them, on average. And then the $1,000 stipend to send them home. I mean, that's a huge savings, especially when you multiply it out by millions of illegal aliens, and hopefully millions of them do take advantage of it. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case. Brian on the road wants to talk about the stipend. What's up, Brian?
What's up, man? Hey, I agree with what Steve said partially, but I'd love to see some Supermax more than one built in this country, and go get them and bring them here. And, I know it'd be fought in the courts and all that, but Trump's such a brilliant guy. Outside of everybody saying he's, a politician, he's turning into a politician. He's just smart. He's just intelligent. He surrounds himself with young, aggressive, confident young people who are they would not work for Biden no matter what he paid them. They want to work for a good guy who does what he says what he does.
Yeah.
And we should support that. I can't understand anybody that wants to allow illegals in this country the way we treated them. Did you see the bus they got on yesterday? It was nice. There's poor people in this country that can't afford that. They didn't mistreat them when they got on the bus. They're just taking them back where they came from or where he said they're going.
Yep.
And everybody's up in arms about that's a bunch of bull crap.
Yeah. Well,
we need to toughen up in this country.
The mayor of Nashville called it heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking what's been taking place.
That's because he's a sissy.
You said it. You said it, Brian, not me. It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30, I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. A new wave of immigration-related traffic stops occurring overnight in the same parts of South Nashville as weekend stops. And Mayor Freddie O'Connell says he's trying to find out the identities of those who were detained over the weekend.
I have requested and Director of Law Wally Dietz has sent a letter to the state seeking the names and charges against any individuals arrested during this weekend's actions. I want to reinforce MMPD has asserted to us that they were not involved in these actions.
Meantime, State Representative John Ray Clemens had this to say about the operation.
It's offensive to me that my district that I proudly represent is being targeted as the locus of all criminal activity in the state of Tennessee, and that the people I represent are being referred to as criminals.
A couple of state representatives and 2 Metro Nashville council members have sent a letter to Governor Lee regarding the illegal immigrant arrests. They call them, quote, racially targeted stops. Also happening overnight, Metro Nashville police arresting an alleged drunk driver after that person pulled out of an intersection at Gallatin and Granada Avenues, causing the patrol car to hit the back of the suspect's car. No injuries were reported. And at the University of Washington in Washington State, more than 25 people arrested overnight. The group called Students United for Palestinian Equality and Return took control of a campus building. There are injuries reported in those arrests. That's the latest news. Weather's up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
37 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Me and Mason have been giggling about the YouTube chat during the break. Are you watching us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch? That's where Super Talk TV is. But the chat is exclusively on YouTube. Hit like and subscribe. We got a guy in there. He goes by the name It's Milk. It's Milk.
It's Milk.
And he's been spamming the chat with clown emojis.
Just a little bit.
He called me an incel. Did you see that?
I did.
Does he know what incel means?
I don't think so. I think it's just a name that's been thrown out a lot.
Incel means involuntary celibate, right?
Yeah.
And I'm the married guy with 4 kids. I don't know. I don't know if he knows what it means. I don't know. Anyway, he's been spamming us in the chat with clown emojis, and I said, just call in. Just call in.
We'll talk to you.
Call in, Milk.
Happily.
Do you think It's Milk is like a Harvey Milk thing?
Like a what?
Harvey Milk.
What is that?
The gay rights activist who he was like a big gay rights activist, but he was dating a 15-year-old.
Oh.
Yeah. They like name bridges after him and stuff now.
Well, kids have to drink milk.
That's true.
Helps their bones.
So to our friend It's Milk in the YouTube chat. 615-737-9986. I told you can have all the time you want. I don't even know what you're mad about. It could be anything with the Democrats.
Brother Chris Hand will talk to anybody.
I'll talk to you. Duffy on the text line said, you've got too many kids. This is why I need your likes and your subscribes on YouTube. I got to feed them.
Yeah, they're playing in boxes right now. We can't.
Ken, you did Little League with the kids growing up, right?
No, my son did not play Little League. He did soccer.
Okay. All right.
But, so I guess Little League soccer, but not Little League baseball.
How do you feel about walk-up music for Little League?
Heck, I don't know, man. I've been out of it so long. Dude, I couldn't tell you, but I mean, if the kids enjoyed it and it was done properly, I think it'd be a good thing.
All right, I'm torn on it. The whole team's doing it, and I gotta let my boys do it because they can't be the only ones not doing it, and I don't want to be the no fun dad.
Depends on the walk up music.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I wonder what kind of walk up music you'd have for Democrat politicians.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like what walk up song would you have for Jasmine Crockett? Right? Like if they had walk up music when they're coming up to the podium in the hallowed halls of Congress. I feel like Jasmine Crockett would be a Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B kind of walk up music.
I was gonna say "Crazy" by CeeLo Green.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
That's too much disrespecting CeeLo Green.
A little bit on the nose. What about like Gavin Newsom? What would Gavin Newsom's walk up song be?
Thrift Shop by Macklemore?
Thrift Shop. That'd be a good one. Maybe a little Same Love by Macklemore.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom yesterday, he actually released this statement criticizing the Democrat Party. And I feel like the Democrats right now, what we're watching is a race to the middle. A lot of the Democrats, the ones that have been paying attention at least, understand that the party has gone way too far left. And, the crazies in the YouTube chat, like our friend It's Milk, loves that. But your average American citizen doesn't. And I think Gavin Newsom has understood that. And you can hear it. You can hear it when he releases a statement like this.
We lost. We lost the popular vote, and we lost the electoral vote. We got crushed. And we need to be humble about that, and we need to have some grace, and we need to understand why. Was it because of the incumbency penalty? Was it because of inflation? Was it because of interest rates? Was it because of immigration? Was it because we were too, quote-unquote, woke? Was it because of the issues with Israel? Was it all of the above? I think we are going through that forensic. We need to understand at the same time, we also have to push back against the whitewaters and headwinds of the Trump administration.
That was that was recorded in early February. For the BBC. It just broadcasted. That's why we're seeing it now. But Gavin Newsom, we lost. We lost everything. We lost all the swing states. We lost the popular vote. We lost the Electoral College. Did we lose because of immigration? Did we lose because of woke? Did we lose because of all the above? Yes. And I think Gavin Newsom is smart enough to understand that. I mean, you have two choices right now in the Democrat Party. You either go full Jasmine Crockett or you try to dial it back to the middle. And Donald Trump was talking about this yesterday. We played this clip during his interview with Meet the Press. This Democrat Party is going through a transition right now. That whether they like it or not, and it's not the transition that they advocate for with kids, but they're dealing with a transition. And Donald Trump said, "Listen, you look at these new crazies that they have coming up, waiting in the wings. That's not going to win them elections."
You know what? I can't name one Democrat. I mean, I look at the Democrats; they're in total disarray. They have a new person named Crockett. I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. And they said, she's the future of the party. I said, you have to be kidding. I don't know what they're going to do. And I really believe in a two-party system. Because it's good to be challenged. It's really good to have a two-party. You know, it's good. Being challenged is okay.
I don't know what they're going to do, Donald Trump says. I have no idea what they're going to do. I think what they're doing is they're going to have to race to the middle. And you're seeing that with Gavin Newsom, and you're also seeing that with, I think, another presidential hopeful who I believe this guy is going to run. I do envision seeing him on the debate stage come the DNC primaries, Stephen A. Smith. So you're going to have guys like Stephen A. who are running to the middle, and you're going to have guys like Gavin Newsom who are running to the middle. And I think that's the winning play for any Democrat candidate. Stephen A. said as much over the weekend with Jake Tapper.
If you were to run for president, though, it would be as a Democrat or no?
You know what? I'm an independent. I'm a registered independent. I would lean who leans left. I'm fiscally conservative when it comes to my money. I'm socially liberal. I'm liberal when it comes to social issues pretty much across the board. I believe in living and let living. So I'm a moderate, and I would say if I had to run, it would be as a Democrat, but I'm not happy with the Democratic Party. So the Democratic Party is presently constructed. It would pretty much need to be purged in order for me to assume that I would want to be associated with them and I would garner their support because I don't like the way they've gone about doing a lot of things.
The Democrat Party would have to be purged in order for me to associate with them, says Stephen A. Smith. I think what the Democrats are going to have to deal with is the fact that their party has gone bat bleep crazy, and you're going to need new people. Now, the new stars that are coming up in the wings are the bat bleep crazy, the Jasmine Crockett's, the AOC, so you're going to need an outsider. And you see Gavin Newsom trying to position himself like an outsider to the party, but he's got too long of a track record with the party and with the state of California that you can say, no, this isn't accurate. This isn't who you are. Stephen A. Smith, on the other hand, he does have a bit of a clean slate, and I think Stephen A. Smith could go over on Gavin Newsom in a primary
for a very, very long period of time. And I think that I don't view Donald Trump as winning the election. I view the Democrats as losing the election, as absolutely positively blowing it with some of their actions. And that's why I think that, again, if somebody was to associate me with that, the party is presently constructed where it leads so extremely left, or at least it spent the vast majority of time doing that. Oh, that is not something that I would vibe with at all. I would definitely be looking to be a game changer in that regard.
Yeah, listen, Stephen A. would be that outsider for the Democrat Party. And I know the audience doesn't like me saying this for whatever reason. I don't know why. I do think that Stephen A. Smith is going to be one of the strongest candidates for the Democrat Party, and I think that he has a chance to go all the way. I think that Stephen A. Smith has a chance to be the outsider to the Democrats that Donald Trump was to the Republicans in 2015, 2016. And I know that, hey, a lot of people think I'm wrong. That's totally fine. But Stephen A. Smith, he has a lot of leeway to say things about the Democrat Party that a lot of their voters believe that a lot of the politicians can't say. And one of the things he said in that last clip was, the Democrat Party needs to be purged. Well, Jake Tapper kind of digs in on that a little bit and says, okay, who? Name some names. Who needs to be purged?
What are some of the things that Democrats have been doing that have turned you off and that make you say the party needs to be purged? Who needs to be purged from it, first of all? Do you have any names?
Well, I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to do that to a lot of people, but we know who the extreme left is.
It's just me. Like, that's soft. Pretty soft. You go on TV every day. You talk crap about all these athletes. You never have an issue with it. You never have an issue with saying what's on your mind. And then you're asked to name names as to who is the radical left in the Democrat Party, and you're too scared to name names. It's because he's running for president. That's the only calculation you can come up with. He doesn't want to name names of the people that are going to need to be supporting him in his run. I don't want to name names. I don't want to name names.
Know how they go about operating. We know what we lean towards when it came to open borders. We know that the spending was excessive, even though it's excessive on the Republican side as well. I think a $37 trillion budget, when Republicans try to act like it's just the Democrats, that's not true. But the Democrats certainly shouldn't be absolved from blame in that regard. Certainly with identity politics, woke culture, cancel culture, I thought that was something that ravaged our nation psychologically, because you had people literally scared they were going to lose their jobs if they pronounced the wrong pronoun, for crying out loud. It got that bad, and I think that's one of the reasons that Donald Trump is in office today, because so much stuff, a lot is focused on the individual as opposed to actual policies itself. I'm talking about what they preached and what they talked to the American people about, more so than what they're doing. The kind of messages that they were disseminating was incredibly uncomfortable to listen to and to hear, and I thought that it wasn't emblematic of what most Americans are thinking about. They're trying to pay their mortgages, rent, buy food and groceries, pay gas, and deal with the prices, the cost of living. And
all things that went through the roof under the last Democratic regime.
And they want safety in the streets. That's primarily what most American citizens are about.
And it got way less safe under Joe Biden's leadership. We had an open border invasion under Joe Biden's leadership. I think Stephen A. Smith is running, and when you look at the field of Democrats, I think he has a good chance. And what a change it would be. I mean, they just ran Kamala Harris. They gave her a good month and a half. Good luck. And then they had Biden before that. Trump the other day was talking about Biden. He said, worst thing to ever happen to old people.
It keeps you sharp. I don't know what they're going to do. They have nobody. Bernie's 87 years old or something. And Biden is the worst thing that ever happened to old people, because he was grossly incompetent. And I think maybe for artificial reasons. He had operations and things. So maybe that's an artificial. But I know people that are unbelievably sharp, and they're older than 87. But I watch Bernie Sanders. He's a nut job, but he's still sharp. He's sharp as he's the same guy he was. He hasn't gone down. But Biden is he's the worst thing to happen to old people.
Yeah, he's the worst thing to happen to old people. And also Democrats, you can make the same argument. Kamala Harris is one of the worst things to happen to Democrats. Some Senate Democrats are actually reportedly being cautious about the possibility of Kamala Harris running again in 2028. Breitbart News has the article. One Democrat senator who did not want to be identified said no when asked if Harris should try again, adding that American voters were heard in November and it was time the former vice president moved on to other things. That's according to The Hill. Senator John Hickenlooper, he's a Democrat out of Colorado. He ran for president in 2020, said he doesn't necessarily see Harris as a front runner, even though the polls show her leading the pack of potential candidates because of her high name ID. He said he thinks that she could add valuable perspective to the political debate, but not a huge fan in her running again. In March, Harris reportedly said, I am staying in this fight when asked about what comes next for her politically, according to Breitbart News. That same month, we saw a Morning Consult survey saying that Harris was leading the party's 2028 presidential primary field. Breitbart News reported that as well. I would love it. I would love it if it was Kamala Harris. I don't think it's in the cards. As much as the Democrats are dumb, as much as the Democrats have their finger far away from the pulse of the American people, I don't think that they're going to make that same mistake again. And I think when it comes to a Democrat frontrunner for 2028, as of right now, I think we have two real options. The options are Gavin Newsom and Stephen A. Smith. And I tend to lean towards Stephen A. Smith. That's just my prediction. It's 10:51. Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand from my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. And if you're living with back pain, knee pain, or nerve pain, have you ever thought about just not doing that? Yeah, not living with pain. You see, the Wellness Institute of Nashville is changing lives with non-surgical, drug-free treatments that will target the root cause of your pain. So you can forget the pills, skip the surgery, because these guys specialize in non-surgical spinal decompression. This is a high-tech therapy that will actually heal your spines and your nerves naturally. Dr. Mitchell, trained all over the globe. Dr. Ashley, expert in chiropractic care and holistic healing. So whether it's sciatica, neuropathy, herniated discs, they have real solutions for you. Right now, the Big 47 offer is going on. That's 47% off that non-surgical spinal decompression, so you have no reason to wait any longer. Don't waste another day living in pain. Call the Wellness Institute right now, 615-246-5009. That's 615-246-5009. The sooner you call, the sooner you heal. Visit painisbad.com.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Another wave of immigration enforcement in Nashville. We'll tell you about that and other top stories at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. It is 10:56 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Ann. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. So, Tom Homan. Is Tom Homan your favorite member of the Trump administration? I know the polling says Scott Bessent. But I feel like it's Tom Homan for everybody.
I like Tom Homan.
I'm a big fan of Tom Homan. Tom Homan was asked about some comments that were made by the Wisconsin governor. So the Wisconsin governor, Tony Evers, he was not very happy about Tom Homan and ICE because, they're doing things like, I don't know, arresting Wisconsin judges. And so that's rubbing them the wrong way. But the Wisconsin judge, Hannah Dugan, she let an illegal alien sneak out of her courtroom. So you had the the Wisconsin governor, Tony Evers, releasing this statement.
Tom Homan was asked about me and this guidance after he apparently threatened to arrest elected officials across the country. He said, "Wait till you see what's coming." As disgusted as I am about the continued actions of the Trump administration, I'm not afraid. I've never once been discouraged from doing the right thing, and I will not start today.
Oh, I've never been discouraged from doing the right thing. Like, I don't know, maybe protecting the citizens of Wisconsin from illegal alien criminals. I think that would be the right thing, but you're standing in direct opposition of that by calling out Tom Homan, who had a judge arrested for allowing an illegal alien criminal escape her courtroom and evade ICE. Tom Homan was asked about those comments from Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers.
What's your response to that, Tom?
Well, there's no threat. What I simply said is wait what happens. I've said from day one, you can support sanctuary cities. You cannot support ICE if that's what you choose to do. But if you cross that line on impeding our law enforcement efforts or knowingly harboring and concealing an illegal alien from ICE, those are felonies, and we will seek prosecution. So, hopefully you don't cross that line, but it's not a threat. I've been saying since day one. There are laws on the books against impediment and knowing, harboring, and concealing an alien, and we're going to seek those out that do that. I've arrested U.S. citizens for harboring and concealing aliens in their workplace or their home when I was an agent. Why should be a free-for-all for elected officials? So don't cross that line. I said from day one. We showed the judge. The judge wanted to play that game. We're prosecuting her. So anybody can be prosecuted for violating laws, including him. But it's not a threat. I'm just taking what the law is and what our 10 is going to be.
Tom Homan, border czar. It's not a threat. It's a promise. In a couple minutes, we're going to have Anthony Watson in here. He's a former Olympian. He's a Turning Point USA contributor. He's going to be speaking to some kids here in Middle Tennessee this evening about the greatness of America and American values. We're going to talk to him on the way. Plus, I want to get his thoughts. Did you see the CNN interview that they ran? CNN ran an interview asking cartel members. They really did this. They interviewed cartel members to ask them how they feel about being labeled terrorists.
Oh, no.
I know. We'll talk about the feelings of those big softies, the cartel members, when we get back with Anthony Watson, who's joining us in studio when we return. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Illegal immigration enforcement operations continue in Nashville. Last night in the same area where more than 150 traffic stops were conducted and people were detained over the weekend. Last night it was along Bell Road. State troopers, along with unmarked patrol cars and a white transport van and what seemed to be ICE agents, but no reports of any arrests with this enforcement operation. Meanwhile, Tennessee U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn telling WTN's Chris Hand sweeps like this are legal.
There's a provision, the 287G provisions that allow local law enforcement to apprehend and detain these criminal illegal aliens, and then ICE can come and pick them up and handle the deportation.
Yeah, so 3 busloads of detainees departed for Louisiana after the weekend at traffic stops. Channel 4 reports those stops continued again overnight, but this time it doesn't appear that there were any more detentions. In an ABC News exclusive, the FBI now says it has more worries about a loose online group that is targeting teenagers. Members of what is known as 764 target the teens on social platforms and coerce them into increasingly dangerous behaviors, including creating child pornography, harming pets, and hurting themselves. The teens are also recruited into helping carry out things like directing bomb threats at their own communities. That led to the arrest of one of the targets of 764, a girl in Vernon, Connecticut. We get more from ABC News Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas.
The FBI tells ABC News in an exclusive interview that it has more than 250 open investigations tied to the 764 network, reaching all 55 field offices across the nation. Nearly a dozen others have already been charged, including a young Arkansas man now pleading guilty to plotting to murder a 14-year-old girl when she stopped complying with his demands.
It's day 2 of jury selection in the trial for Sean Diddy Combs today. Diddy on trial for sex trafficking and racketeering. So far, the 19 potential jurors selected for the jury pool, but no one seated yet.
The first round of questions was really focused more generally on what they know about the case. Given that Sean Diddy Combs is as famous as he is, they wanted to know what evidence they might have seen and if these potential jurors can actually be fair and unbiased in weighing the evidence that they see in the courtroom. And then they were asked more about their personal lives, including educational background, news habits, and music taste.
That's Rena Roy reporting. And the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It's 11:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners. You get those at betterwater.com. I'm waiting the arrival of my friend, former Olympian, Turning Point USA contributor, Anthony Watson. He's going to be here in a couple minutes, joining us live in studio. But before we get to that, go find us on YouTube. Hit like, hit subscribe, watch the show. Whenever you're wondering why do I want to watch a radio show? on the TV. Just know that on this show, any of the audio that you hear coming through your speakers, clips from CNN or Tom Homan or whatever the case may be, Donald Trump, we have the video to accompany those clips on our live stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Hit like and subscribe. You're going to want to see this one. CNN actually sat down. They sat down and they decided to have an interview with a cartel member to ask him about his feelings when it came to Donald Trump labeling him as a terrorist.
I mean, according to the Trump administration, you are a terrorist. I mean, the cartels have been labeled a foreign terrorist organization. What do you make of that?
Está fea la situación, ¿verdad? Está fea la situación, pero pues...
Oh, he says, well, the situation is ugly. Situation is ugly. But we have to eat.
Nos tenemos que comer.
What's your message to Donald Trump if he's watching this?
Mi respeto, él tiene que según él buscar lo mejor para...
He says, my respect. According to him, he's looking out for his people.
Para los suyos. Pero el detalle que ya están los consumidores.
But the problem is the consumers are in the United States. Yep, that's where the consumers are.
Si no hubiera consumidores, pues uno le parara.
He said if there weren't any customers, we would stop. That's his message to Donald Trump. CNN actually doing a puff piece for designated terrorists in the United States. When they say that the media is the enemy of the people, this is exactly what they mean. CNN hates Donald Trump so much that they're going to ask cartel members about their feelings. You can't make this stuff up. You can't make it. Never in a million years would I. Why? Why would you do this? This is the worldwide leader in news, CNN, asking cartels about their feelings. Why? Oh, I mean, if you look at it through the lens of they hate America, then you can totally understand why and how. Stephen Miller was asked about this puff piece on cartels from CNN last night on Fox News with Laura Ingraham, and he didn't hold back.
The American press is trying to see how it hurts cartel members' feelings when Donald Trump has accurately portrayed them as foreign terrorist enemies of the United States. Hundreds of thousands of Americans, hundreds of thousands, have been killed by the fentanyl that these monsters have trafficked into our country, lacing our drugs with this lethal poison that many teenagers and many young people in this country don't even realize that they're ingesting, and they drop dead, and their parents don't even know what happened. These same cartels, by the way, that wage assassination campaigns against their opponents, that use fear, violence, torture, and intimidation to get their way, that are responsible for all illegal immigration into this country. In other words, everyone who crosses that border is smuggled by a cartel or a cartel associate, and they're responsible for the human trafficking and child trafficking that has plagued the Western Hemisphere.
Stephen Miller, absolutely right. CNN running puff pieces for cartel members. You got to love it. I'm joined in studio now by my friend, Turning Point USA contributor, Anthony Watson. And Anthony is a former Olympian, and you're in Tennessee tonight, and you're going to be speaking with some high schoolers. What's up, Anthony?
Not a thing. Thank you so much for having me here. It's been a pleasure, and definitely love Nashville so far.
Yeah, man. So you've done a lot of events for Turning Point.
Absolutely.
You've met with a lot of kids. You just crossed the
250 mark.
250.
250 schools in 3 years. That's
crazy.
That's a lot of air miles.
So what do you say to these kids when you meet them on campus?
I mean, it's varying topics. You know, a lot of people want to talk about the issues of the day, but I mean, like, what are the issues of the day to talk about other than just regular stats if you don't tell people actually how to maneuver through them? Message today is simple. It's just like standing for your beliefs. And it's such a cliche, and I hate cliches because everyone's talking about that. But, you know, when you give people tangible tools on what it actually looks like to stand up when people are saying things to you, or when people don't show up and still showing up and being consistent and proving to yourself that the things that you talk to other people are worth living whenever you actually do that, because overall it's not going to be arguing, debating that proves a point whether or not what you stand for is actually worth it. The only thing that will actually, prove any validity and the choices that you make is time, and you can't rush that. And, but time is where, you prove to yourself and you see the growth that you've done from when you started here to here. And it's also a thing that shows the growth in other people to show who's been all serious as opposed to who's all talk in all of these situations. So it's just a healthy reminder, because what I'm saying to these kids ain't new. I mean, how many more times do I have to ask people what a woman is? I'm getting sick of that. If someone asks me that one more time, I think I'm going to scream. But, a woman is a female adult with XX chromosomes. It's that simple. Nowadays, you have to have so many people that are trying to define that. And, stepping outside of what people are trying to use just for clickbait and actually talk to the issues that deal with the heart of somebody, which is what actually spurs people through movements, through situations, and over like the hype of everything else. And that's the message of today. It's because, people need to be encouraged in the basics that keep things going the way they are, because our side believes in longevity, and it's, longevity that produces all of these other things that can actually help you in all these current situations where we find ourselves, where we actually need more people to actually take a stand for basic stuff. So you give people that, and then in the end, you see what they do with it, but it's got to be something that you're living out yourself, because I can't tell people anything and give them something from a place I haven't been and I'm not willing to go myself.
It's crazy, man. 250 schools, and this is you're even like it's a small chunk of what Turning Point has done.
Oh yeah.
As you go through these schools, and you've gone through, 2 years under Biden, now we're back in the Trump administration. Have you noticed an energy shift with the youth?
Oh, definitely. It's just before, everyone under Biden, because everyone was getting persecuted for their beliefs and allowing the other side to really pummel and humiliate everybody else. My message today is just like, that's never going to stop when you're on the side of truth, because I said there's never been a time where truth has been popular. It's never been acceptable. It's never been something that's been convenient, and it's never something that works with your schedule when it needs to be spoken for. So it's like truth never knocks on your window and says, you feel like taking a stand today. It puts you in a situation where people know that something needs to be said, and only the people who have the courage to do it. And they go through the ringer of everything, of having to deal with all of that. But in the end, they're the ones that get the reward that now everyone tries to be like and do things that way. But it's a road that's less traveled. It's a road that has more sacrifice and more trouble in the beginning. But I said the reward of that is better in the end when everything else comes from that. But I have seen a big difference. There's a lot more people now that are more, I say, rebellious from like typical, like leftist ideologies that are now been made rules, like make sure you properly use someone's pronouns. And everyone's like, no. And I'm like, good for you, and all of those other things. Right. Yeah. So, there's more of an excitement now that kids know that they actually have the power to actually shift the country to where it can be. And it's just, like I said, all of these things are just basic reminders of what they have at their fingertips, because when you take that stuff away and give it away freely in the name of fear or manipulation through everybody else, that's when things start kind of, being separated. But I've seen a lot more excitement. Look at Charlie's tour stops. You have thousands and thousands and thousands of kids coming up. Now you have more kids like wanting to get involved in, like, now the things that used to make them afraid of, the resistance and the pushback and all of that stuff, is almost kind of like they look forward to it now, which is like,
it's a badge of honor.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, all things considered, I think we're moving in the right direction.
I love it, man. Anthony Watson's in here. How did you get into this? You're a former Olympian. How do you go from being a former Olympian to advocating for the truth with college and high school kids?
Oh, well, I lost everything. It was 2019 in World Championships. This is at the peak of George Floyd. We were in Latvia, and then out of nowhere, a reporter came up to me and did an interview asking what I thought about all the social injustice of the world, because I was only one out of 2, maybe 3 black athletes.
We found the black guy. Yeah. Guys, get in here.
Yeah,
get in here. We got him.
Before that, nobody cared about my opinion or who I was. They just knew that, hey, there's a Jamaican sliding in a winter sport that's heavily European dominated. And before social issues.
What was your sport?
I did skeleton. So I did the bobsledding. I did bobsledding for Team USA. Tried it for the Jamaican team for a little bit when I switched nations. And then if anyone's seen the movie Cool Runnings.
You were Cool Runnings.
Absolutely. Here we go. Yep. I was waiting for that.
Anthony was Cool Runnings.
But the thing is I joke around and I tell everybody, I was like, you remember in the Cool Runnings movie how at the last race they tipped over and the sled crashed and they didn't cross the finish line? Current team still does that. A lot more than the movie projected. So
really?
I spared myself all the concussion protocols and decided to switch to skeleton, which is a singles person sport on your stomach sliding headfirst down the same ice track. So, I'm only 4 inches off the ice, head first, chin above the ice, about 4 inches, going 80 miles per hour. It's very exhilarating.
That's wild.
Yeah, my fastest speed ever, I think I've been clocked at 81 miles per hour.
How do you get into a sport like that?
It was the only Olympic sport that took tryouts for Team USA. I wanted to be in track and field so desperately that I was trying to do something for the London trials, and I was in Junior Olympic tracks, AAU, USATF, under 18 and under 20. And then I tore my knee right before the London trials, where I was hopefully trying to inch up to like potentially running a sub 10 100 meter, because I was in the 10.8, 10.5 category at the time. And then when I came back, I just wasn't as quick after my knee tear. And so I sat down one day, went through every single Team USA page at the time, and then it said that bobsled and skeleton was the only Olympic sport that took tryouts. So I tried out for Team USA, competed with them for 3 years, got to go through the Russia experience by watching some of my teammates and everything else compete and stuff. Then didn't have a clear path to the Olympics, so I switched because the rules of the Olympics are if you have lineage, citizenship, or any kind of connection to another country, the Olympic Committee will then allow you to seek residence there to now represent them. So I have dual citizenship because my father was born in Jamaica and came here to the United States legally. And so with all of that, that's how I was able to compete for the Jamaicans. So at the end of my career, that's when everything started going crazy, because I had been in the Olympics for, I think, like 10 years at this point.
So you've been hustling.
Yeah.
You're trying to achieve your dreams, and a reporter finds you.
Yep.
And this is during the Summer of Love. And they start asking you questions.
Yeah.
Where does it go from there?
So what happened was like I said, they had known who I was for the past 6 years. Like I had been at World Champs, I had been to an Olympics, I had been every other place. And so, no one ever made anything a black issue at that point. But then now coming up out of nowhere, everyone was just like, so Anthony, we want to ask you a question. I'm like, okay. Just like, what do you think about all the social injustice in the world and how everything else is going? And I said,
and you probably had a decision to make right there, because if you lean into the leftist ideology, well, then you got a red carpet towards more interviews, more notoriety, more clicks, more clout. And what did you decide to do?
I just spurred off at the mouth. So I was a little reckless, and I was like, well, this is my, I didn't even think this is my moment to actually have whatever. I was just frustrated with a lot of things, because all of my friends that were European and different looking than I am, with Snow White kind of Caucasian, coming from the European backgrounds where black people just don't exist in their countries, all of them felt troubled because I knew none of them were like that. I had dealt with people who were legit prejudice against me when I first started the sport, but I made a community of people that, because of how I treated them and how I carried myself, actually became my friends. And so they were all feeling some type of way. They're just like, well, we don't want to get in trouble. We didn't do anything. And I'm like, you guys don't have to apologize for something you didn't do. So I didn't see it as a valiant moment to be like, I'm going to do this. I was just speaking from personal experience. And all I said was, I think BLM is stupid. And the woman was already white. She turned sheet white, and you could almost see through her because she was so shocked at what I said.
That is not a statement you're allowed to make, especially in the direct aftermath of George Floyd.
Yeah, I think this was 3 months after. So this is at the peak when all of the cities across, when everyone around the world is marching, and cities. This is before cities started burning. This is just when everyone was gathering to march.
This is when the donations were rolling in.
Right. And so she's just like, you want to explain? And I was just like, well, I think that, you've got to be an idiot to hire people that don't live in your neighborhood, fly them in, bust them in, have them burn up everything. They get to go home, and then you have to go back and live in the mess that you just created. I said, what child has BLM put through school? I said, what person have they donated for their college fund? I said, what community has been burned up that they've actually helped fix?
What playground have they built in any of these cities?
I said, all of these things were to help make black life better. But I said, if this is what black life is, I said, I don't want it, because I said, I wasn't raised as a black person. I said, I was raised as a person who just happens to be slightly better tan than the rest of the world. And I said, when people start realizing that it's not about skin color and it's about the heart condition of somebody, I said, that's when you'll realize that those are situations that only get fixed when you have personal experiences with people. And then after that, within a week, it didn't take a week for my sponsors to be like, we can't work with you anymore. And it was people wouldn't return my calls, and then my contracts expired and they wouldn't be renewed. And then other people were just like, yeah, we're not working with you. And then on top of that, I had people asking for their money back.
Really?
And so I lost everything. Had to move back in at home, absolutely had nothing, was out on my own for a little while.
And you weren't trying to make this grand statement. You were just answering a question honestly.
I was just speaking the truth, because I come from places where I've seen black people, treat other people horribly in the name of them just trying to be people who want to, make a point. And I wasn't trying to make a point, but, you know, there were more people that after I said that silently came to me and like, dude, thank you for saying that because we don't agree with that at all. And, you know, all the black athletes at the time were the ones who were really eating that stuff up, being like, yeah, this is our chance. And I'm like, dude, at the end of the day, especially when it comes to sports, you have no advantage here by using your blackness because sports is supposed to be best athlete versus best athlete. And I said, and if you lose, that's on you, not because of your skin color.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where I was. And so for a year and a half, it was trying desperately to get back in. It was trying to get sponsors. It was trying to do all these other stuff. And then I was basically blacklisted. No one will touch me now. And it was at that moment where I was just like, I can't be the only one who thinks this way. And so that's how I found Turning Point. And I found that they had an ambassador program. I remember filling it out, talking to the people who run that program, and then got to come to my very first conference at 2020 in December during the lockdown phase of everything. And so that was when I heard a lot of truth from people like doctors who were experts and everything else. And I'm like, okay, so there are people, there's a community out here. So I reached out to a friend of mine that I had met there at my first conference, Taylor Winston, who will hopefully be joining us here in a little bit. And then he and I decided to start doing speaking arrangements on tour. So we were paying out of pocket to go to these places and be like, hey, listen, this is what we've been through and this and that. But I could tell you after the third event of talking about myself, I got really bored.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, what can I give people? What can I give young people that are going to help them want to do the right thing in all of these times? And so that's where my journey and Turning Point started, to the point where I was doing that for 2 years. Paying out of pocket, going to schools here and there, doing events, just being able to talk and encourage young people until the point where I was able to sit down and, you know, they were like, would you like to do this for us full time? And I'm like, absolutely. And so now my main mission is to get out as much as I can, as far as I can, for as long as I can, for whoever I can. And I can't tell you, even in these past couple of weeks, the amount of tears from people, you know, students alike, who are just stressed out from school and everything that they got to go through, that can finally come someplace and be like, oh, it was nice to not have to deal with any of the political stuff, but just have people invest in our character and invest in us as young people. That's what we value more than anything. Having parents say, like, thank you so much for everything that you're doing for my child, because we've been telling her this or we've been telling him this for the longest time, but now having somebody else say the exact same thing we're saying, now they know we're not just making it up to make their life difficult. We actually mean it. And so things like that are the reason why I do it, because we can both agree that on our side, you have a lot of people that only want to do this for clickbait.
Yeah, grifters.
And virality is that one thing that a lot of people on our side forget is temporary. Because sooner or later, you can only watch the same video over and over again. You can only get so many clicks from all the stuff that you want to get. You can engagement farm, where it's just like you try to be as out there as you can to like prove a point or to be outrageous as possible. But nobody in their entire life will ever forget when they had somebody who was personal with them. And those are the experiences that I live for, because if I'm able to go someplace and give people an experience that's going to help change their lives, all you need is one person to then start a ripple. And there's one person in a lot of the crowds that I go to that are going to now start taking that to do whatever. So, I mean, like, to me, it's not glamorous. It's not flashy. And a lot of times people look at me like the work that I do sometimes isn't as meaningful as everybody else because I don't have thousands of people showing up to my events. But at the end of the day, it's just like, in this culture war that we're in, you need every person that you can get.
Yep.
And
Amen.
so while everybody else is getting the crowds of the people who are already committed, I'm recruiting. It is how I see it, and going out there to the places where nobody's heard of to try and get more people on our side.
So where are you going tonight?
Tonight, I'm going to Murfreesboro to go speak to a group of young high schoolers at an airport. So the venue that they had was shut down, but they're just like, we're renting a ballroom at the airport. I was like, at the airport?
Wait, so you're going to be at the Murfreesboro
at the
airport?
Murfreesboro airport.
Oh, man. So you know what's crazy is right next to that airport is the Little League fields, and that's where I'm going to be tonight with my boys.
No way.
Yeah, they got a game, so you should come over.
Yeah. What time is their game?
It's going to be at, oh gosh, I'm going to get in trouble now. 6:30, I think we got to be there.
I'll be over there by that point.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'll come say hello.
How do you feel about walk-up music for Little Leaguers?
I'm all about it.
You're all about it?
Yeah, get their confidence at a young age. What'd they come up to, Baby Shark?
No. We're working on it. We're working on that in the background.
You can always have Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
There you go.
Like all the themes of
some Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, things that actually did to actually encourage kids to be brave. And
I love it. We got Anthony Watson in studio. He is a Turning Point USA contributor. He's going to be in town tonight, Murfreesboro, sending a message of what is your message to the young people?
Message is it's simple. It's stand up. As I'm tired of having to go places where people are able-bodied and able to stand on their own, but it's like they want people to pick them up and carry them. It's like you got 2 feet. So I start every single speech nowadays 3 ways. I said, we need to stand. So I said, what's the definition of stand? I said, Webster's definition of stand is, an upright posture held up on 1 to 2 feet. And I always look, and I'm like, I'm literally standing. And I said, I know that there are some of you who are younger, so I went to the Urban Dictionary definition of what it means to stand. And it says a psychological inner strength of one's inner will. And I'm just like, that's something that you can stand in. And then I said, I know some of you here were born after the year 2005. So I said, I looked up the Gen Z version of what it means to stand. And it says sometimes an unhealthy but obsessive stance over something that one is passionate about. And I said, you've got nobody that has that kind of thing in standing nowadays. I said, people stand as long as people agree. And then as soon as people agree, then they fold and they bend over. But I said, leadership is about taking the hits and getting up. Because I said, when you're driven by something that's bigger than public opinion, I was like, that's what, when you get knocked down 100 times, will help you stand up 101. That's why when nobody shows up to your events, it'll still make you show up just in case there's one person that wants to do that. I said, standing is always for the one person that's wanting to do what you do but doesn't have the strength to. I said, standing is for the people that need someone to do something, but I said, won't have the courage to do it. I said, standing is showing up early. Standing is leaving late. Standing is doing the tasks that nobody else wants to do, because in the life that we live, it's not about being flashy and attractive. I said, leadership is doing the roles that nobody else wants to in the times that nobody else can. And I said, for the reward that you have. And I said, but not for the reward that you're thinking of. I said, it's more for the internal thing to prove yourself. Because I said, getting older doesn't make your situations in life get easier. I said, and you ask any adult in life, I was like, the issues seem to get harder when you have kids and bills and mortgages and all these other things. And I said, the only thing that's supposed to get easier is your willingness to step up to those kinds of challenges.
Amen.
So I said, well, the sooner you get used to stepping up to all of these kinds of things, I said, everything else doesn't seem like it's going to tax you. I said, there may be some things that catch you off guard and knock you down. And I said, you'll be stunned and dazed. But I said, you're not used to being down. So I said, you'll bounce up and get up real quick. And I said, and the times that things do pummel you, that's why it's important. The people that you keep in your life are the ones that will help you stand up when you don't have the strength to do so that you can get back on track. So I said, everything plays a part into standing these days. The company you keep, the decisions you make, the people you hang out with, the areas that you go. And I said, not just the things that you do, but how it appears to other people.
This is a message that kids need to hear. Anthony Watson, Turning Point USA contributor. He's going to be in Murfreesboro tonight speaking to some high schoolers. He's going to be hanging out with us for a little bit longer. It is 11:28 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Real quick, I got to tell you about my friends over at the Glock store and the event that they have coming up. It is going to be a banger of a party. The Glock Store's 5th annual open house, Saturday, May 31st. Every year, these guys throw open the doors. They roll out the red carpet for Nashville. Raffles, deals, full out of fun. It is a blast. This year, the raffles are nonstop all day long. Custom Glock handgun giveaways, premium gear, you name it. And if you don't want to try the raffle, you don't think you have a chance, well, you can still win with some great deals like ammo. Check out the Burrow Bullets Blowout. 1,000-round tac packs of 9mm and .223, packed in custom ammo boxes. You're not going to believe the prices. And yes, they're bringing out the full auto rental rifles again. 9mm, 5.56. I've done it. It's awesome. You're going to want to do it too. Mark it down. Saturday, May 31st. Minutes from the airport. Worth the drive from anywhere. The one and only Glock Store.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Drivers, we got a crash blocking the left lane 40 westbound right there at Elm Hill Pike. And then in Franklin, got some road work blocking the off-ramp 65 northbound to eastbound 840. Also, the right lane blocked 840 eastbound right there at 65. Right now in Nashville, Channel 4 says there was another immigration enforcement operation overnight. Tennessee Highway Patrol troopers seen making traffic stops along Bell Road in Antioch, involving unmarked cars, a white transport van, what appeared to be ICE agents, but this time no arrests. Mayor Freddie O'Connell claiming these operations causing deep community harm, and he's directing Metro Legal to find out who was arrested over the weekend operation, but doesn't seem to be anything the city can do to prevent them in the future.
What we saw over the weekend was actions that happen on state routes with no coordination with local officials. So, yes, I continue to be concerned about the mechanism for these actions, and I think what they've demonstrated is that they can occur at times and locations of their choosing without our involvement.
Mayor O'Connell insists Metro Police has nothing to do with these operations. The FBI telling ABC News it has more than 250 separate investigations running, all centered on the same group. ABC News Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas.
A shadowy online global network called 764, which wants governments toppled and the world in chaos, but which also targets kids on social media and gaming platforms, befriending them before demanding violent and sexual content from them.
ABC officials telling ABC News, and that's officials telling ABC News, they believe this group was founded by a person named Bradley Cadenhead when he was just 15. Cadenhead now serving an 80-year prison sentence after pleading guilty to child pornography related to charges back in 2023. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Hand here, and if you're tired of sky-high health insurance costs, you got to talk to my friend Shane Ring over at Cover Nash. He actually has a brand new option that could absolutely change the game for you. There's a new plan on the market that will bring your health insurance deductible down to $250. That's right. Not $5,000, not $8,000, $250. And the best part is you don't even have to wait for open enrollment. Shane can help you switch or save money right now. And you might be thinking, why? How? Well, Shane's been doing this for 20 years. He knows all the ins and outs. He can shop the entire market for you, over 75 companies, to find the best fit for your budget and health needs. So whether you're self-employed or between jobs or just plain old overpaying for coverage, Shane can easily save you, and I mean easily, 30 to 60% on your monthly premiums. So it's time to stop overpaying, and it's time to give Shane Ring a call today. 615-465-0023, or you can hit the website, covernash.com. I'm more of a phone call guy, 615-465-0023, or covernash.com. Get a quality, affordable plan managed by you, not the government, covernash.com. 39 minutes past the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Joined in studio by a couple friends. We got Anthony Watson, who's a Turning Point USA contributor and former Olympian. And we have Taylor Winston, who runs 2adaddy.com. You survived the mass shooting in Vegas.
Yes, sir.
That's the one where it was just one guy. Stop asking questions, right?
That's right. After 2 weeks, it got swept under the rug.
That was that one. And now you speak to a lot of Turning Point chapters as well.
Yes, sir. So I was accredited with saving over 24 lives that night. I commandeered a vehicle, drove into the gunfire, loaded up critically injured victims, went to the hospital.
That's incredible.
And then I did a second trip. And since then, I've just kind of been on the advocacy side of things, leveraging, we can fight facts against feelings all day, but typically that doesn't work. So now I can do feelings and facts against feelings.
How do you feel that? And I didn't plan to go this route, but why not? You're here. How do you feel that the Vegas investigation's been handled?
They don't want to lose revenue for the city, so they squashed it very fast. I think it was handled very poorly. I think there's a lot of people, 20,000 plus, and people attached to those 20,000 people who were attending who are left with unanswered questions. We'll never know the actual motive. We were just told, no motive, carry on with your lives. We lost 58 people that night. Over 800 people were shot, and it is the largest mass shooting in modern day history, and no one talks about it. It's interesting.
Pretty weird, right?
Pretty weird.
Coincidental, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So now one of the things that you do is you go around to schools, similar to how Anthony does.
Yep.
And you talk to kids about firearms.
Yes, sir.
And you talk about the history and the safety. And I just wonder, how accepting are schools to your message when it comes to the Second Amendment? Because I would think liberal indoctrination system, these schools don't really want to let you in to say what you want to say.
So the Nashville High School right here downtown, I think is the oldest high school in Tennessee. They're very liberal. And the librarian actually allowed me to come. She looked at how I kind of present myself online. I never point at someone and be like, you're an idiot if you don't know this. It's more or less, I just think you're ignorant because you've been brainwashed to think this is bad. And so I like to go in and I educate through history. You can't refute that. There's lots of reasons why the Second Amendment is extremely important. And we don't have to get into the politics of it. We can just talk about the history of it, how it came to be, and why it's so important in modern day culture and why our Constitution is still relevant.
And how do the kids receive your message?
They're mind blown every time. I mean, I cannot believe every single high school I've gone to, how little everyone knows about our constitutional rights, including the Second Amendment. And they all just, they know guns are supposed to be good if they're like in the Turning Point chapter, of course, but they don't have the tools on their tool belt to be able to educate others about it. And so it's nice to come in, give them some tools, give them some facts that they can dig into, and it's been great.
Well, I feel like a lot of that education has to start at home, and you're a dad. So how do you plan to start that education with your kids? And what age is too young to start firearms?
He was actually telling me some of the ways that he's teaching his son with guns, like little pop guns and dart guns. He has it locked in the safe.
Oh,
and
really?
He's like, if you want to use your gun, you have to come to Daddy. Dad will get it for you. We'll do this. We'll do that. Teaches him how to clear it and check it. I'm like, wait, what? I didn't even think about that. I was just given a dart gun.
My son is 3 years old. My daughter is 1.5 years. And it just hit me. I didn't know how I was going to approach this as a father. That's how 2A Daddy kind of all started. Second Amendment Daddy. We need more fathers advocating for our rights and standing up for our freedoms, and just, more nuclear family. And that's where it all kind of starts. When I had my son hand me a Nerf gun and want to shoot it, he just started flagging his sister. And I was like, all right, this ain't cool. And then I started realizing it's fun to play games with the guns, but you're really building muscle memory.
Yeah.
And I feel if we start now and treat them as they are real weapons and just say, they just instill in their brain, if you point a weapon at someone, that's not cool. And so I don't allow our children to shoot each other with any kind of gun, squirt gun or not. They can have fun in other ways. And so with the guns, the Nerf gun is locked up with my gun in the gun safe.
That's awesome.
And I take a lot of precautions also. I never carry one in the chamber. That's a personal decision. Everyone always says carry one in the chamber.
Yep.
But it's unlikely that I'm going to get in a confrontation where 2 seconds of me being trained to rack my firearm is going to prevent me from engaging a threat. However, it's more likely that my children are going to come upon it for me just forgetting it for 2 seconds and then something bad happening. So I would rather risk the prior than the latter.
Yep, I'm with you on that. I do the exact same thing. And with the Nerf guns, I teach my boys trigger discipline on them. Yeah. Get your finger off that trigger if you're not shooting that Nerf gun.
Exactly. All the safety rules apply.
Yeah, you got to do it.
And he loves it. He eats it up.
Yeah, no, I mean the kids are hungry for this stuff, and I'm sure you guys see this on all the campuses that you visit.
I don't know. I was raised in a typical black house where it's just found a gun, got a gun, pointed the gun, and shot it for fun. You know,
got flex in the mirror with it, pointing around. You know,
there's walk around the neighborhood, that kind of thing. But the one thing my parents were like, don't walk outside with that. God forbid someone sees it and thinks it's real. So they said, just shoot your GI Joes off the ledge in the house. And I'm like,
there you go. So what kind of message are you bringing to the kids this week? Where are you focusing? You have a school that you're visiting in Chattanooga on Thursday?
Yes. So I like to start people with like natural rights, natural law. I stray away from God-given rights because a lot of people, lean atheist a lot these days, and I just lose them immediately. So I start with like natural law rights and natural law, where it all started, prior BC. Aristotle, all these guys, Cicero, these thoughts have been around for millennia. And our founding fathers took all these ideas, all these lessons throughout history, different people testing different laws in England. King Henry VIII, I believe, required every head of the household to have a longbow. There were firearms at the time, but the longbow is the far superior weapon. So you can use these tactics when someone's like, an AR is a weapon of war. And it's like, yeah, but here's why, and here's where it comes from. And so we can teach educationally without being political about it where these thoughts and ideas come from. And I get really excited about that because none of these kids have ever heard anything about this.
Do you feel like you're like radicalizing these kids in real time? You're like, because you can see the gears turning and the eyes kind of lighting up, and they're like, I've never heard somebody speak like this before.
Oh, yeah. And I'm so non-abrasive. I just like have a presentation and we talk about it. Liberals show up every time and they have great questions. They've been brainwashed through social media and into thinking weapons are bad. And some of the things I just like give primers to the students to like engage with people like, all right, if you really care about our safety, why are you trying to ban, let's call them assault weapons. It's a fake made up term. It's armor light rifle, but I'll lean into it. I'll say, all right, say we ban assault weapons. What happens? And they say, I don't know. And I say, well, assault weapons are only responsible for 3 to 4% of all homicide by firearms. So now you still have 97% of deaths still by other types of guns. What's the next solution? And they're like, well, we might have to. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. So why are we going after this type of firearm versus like a handgun who's responsible for the majority of deaths? And so you can start doing common sense with them, but you can do it through a different route. And you have to engage them with a little bit of history first and open their mind up, because you start hitting with these facts, they just kind of shut down.
Have both of you guys witnessed times where you're dealing with a left-leaning liberal student and you've kind of really turned them around on your way of thinking?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
We were hugging it out. They loved it.
Yeah.
I was like, everyone give this person a round of applause. Like, thank you so much for coming. And then afterwards, they're just like, yeah, like my neighborhood got broken into and I just wish our family had a gun to protect us. And I was like, you get it. And usually people get it after it's too late. And that's what we want to prevent, right? Like, we want this right for everyone. I don't care your religion, your race, your ethnicity. I want you to have your natural right, your God-given rights to be able to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Bears, lions, oh my, have claws and teeth.
Yeah.
We have tools.
Yep.
A weapon is one of them.
What about you? Have you had that kind of like an instance?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, because I think when people hear about Turning Point and they see like someone's name, whether it be Taylor's face or my face on a Turning Point poster, they automatically think it's going to be like the Prove Me Wrong segment, where it's just like there's just insults thrown back and forth because it's people just trying to be like, well, I'm right for this reason and you're wrong for this reason. That's not the case. Everyone's different. It's like having different, pencils in an art box. Some are different colors, some have different shading abilities and everything else. Like, our approach has always been connect with the person. Like, let the facts be secondary, because I said a lot of people are just walls right now because a lot of people have just hurt them personally. And so like a lot of people have literally said things to me and like, I like, as angry as I get, take a deep breath and I'm calm and I respond calm, because I was a hothead till I started touring with this guy. And then whenever he would be like, well, I mean, like, I disagree. And then he was just like, he brought everything down to where they looked crazy. When I started practicing that, there were so many events that I did where I had socialists come up with like their cameras and they're asking me like all these pressing questions. And I may not know the economic perfect answer, but I know why I believe, and I'm calm about it. And when they start raging, I'm like, hold up, beloved. I said, just because you're rageful and loud doesn't mean that you're right. I said, it just means you have little self-control. I said, do you see me yelling at you? And they're just like, then I've had them all come out, listen, we're sorry. We didn't mean to like get a wreck. We were just this and that. But we appreciate, you know, like you're somebody who was actually polite and kind enough to give us your viewpoint without attacking us at the same time.
The problem with that, and it's not a bad problem, but it's not clickbait, right? We're not getting the content we need to go viral every time. We're actually just having civil discourse, and unfortunately, that does not work as well on social media.
But I feel like that's a more important conversation to have, because so many individuals deal with like liberal family members, where I'm sure you could almost boil it down to dealing with a high school student at a certain level. Once you're in this argument with a liberal family member, what kind of advice would you give to individuals bridging that gap with somebody from the other side, especially right now? Well, how do you approach that conversation?
The best thing that I tell people is you have to know the reasons why you believe things, because you have far too many people now that are just talking heads of stats that other people quote. And so they see like Matt Walsh or a Charlie Kirk or a Ben Shapiro throw out a stat out there that they've done their research on, and then they just repeat that. But then when someone else actually has done more research
below that,
and then they go, but yeah, like he said, beneath that, then you're just like, well, you know, 62%. And I'm just like, dude, if you don't have a reason to why you believe these things, you're forever going to be someone that's getting beat up by other people and their opinions by these kinds of things.
People sense that you only know the top layer data, and then they just hammer you. But if you can come back every time and you got a little bit deeper, and eventually if you dig deep enough, that's when you win them over, because they're like, oh, like I didn't know that. And the thing I tell people the most is like, these conversations take time. You will not win them over in a single sit down or a single conversation. It's taken me years for some of my liberal friends to bring them over to consider, maybe I do want to go shoot with you. Like, this does sound fun now. Like, it's taken years of just kind of like chipping away, being polite, being kind. I understand. Everyone is on my team. If China invades America or any other country or any war breaks out that hasn't happened since World War II, it's been over 70 years. I want every single person I disagree with to be at my side with a firearm and somewhat trained.
Yeah.
And so I can't come in being rude and push them away, because when that time comes, then they're not going to be prepared.
Yeah, it's a great point. We're here with Taylor Winston, who runs 2adaddy.com, and Anthony Watson. He's a Turning Point USA contributor and former Olympian. Or is it like the Marines? Are you once an Olympian, always an Olympian?
Once, always.
Once,
That's right.
always.
That's right.
I love
Semper
it. I love
Fi.
it. Oh, this guy's a Marine. Thank you for your service. How can we keep up with you guys? How can we find y'all online?
Taylor Winston on all socials, 2A Daddy. If you guys want to learn how to dance, Nashville Dance Fest.
Yeah, you got a big.
Make sure you get the nap time. Nap time suppressor.
So you got a dance party coming up in Nashville in September.
September 5th through 7th. We have 3 days of over 70 workshops with the best dance instructors in the nation. And we're going to be teaching dancing. We got competitions, social dancing, concerts. We'll have Aaron Watson, James Johnston, Aaron Kinsey, and more coming to party with us in the evenings.
So guns and dancing.
Guns, dancing, and music. Don't forget.
I love it.
We bring Daniel Defense, 2A Daddy, and we introduce, and we have like arcade games set up where they get to like do virtual simulations. That was the most popular. Afterwards, liberals literally come up to me. They're like, Taylor, I know, like I'm a liberal and I dance, but like, can you teach me to train sometime? And that came from having a 2,000-person dancing festival that we integrated firearms into. So there were literal firearms on display inside the festival, which is just like unheard of.
Yeah, but not just that. This guy uses dance to get everybody in his friend circle. When we first met at SAS in 2020, he was literally walking past me and I was standing there clueless, and he was like, "What are you doing tonight?" And I was like, "Nothing." He was like, "I'm Taylor. We're going dancing. Meet us in the lobby at this time."
It builds community.
And that's how literally we became friends. I had no idea what country dancing was. Didn't know a single line dance outside.
I know, now you're line dancing like crazy.
Outside the Cotton Eye Joe.
It's probably better than me.
He took me out there and I was like, "Yo, can you teach me a dance?" And he just went out and did his own thing. But ever since then, we've just been attached at the hip. But I mean, like when we first started this thing, the world was telling us that at that time, this, because of how we look, doesn't work.
Black dude and a white dude for you on the radio.
You know, we don't. We've gone to a lot of places that a lot of people haven't even heard of to show people that this can work. It's just going a little bit deeper, because we just did an event when we were at University of Tennessee in Knoxville, and like these Palestinians were finishing their little group meeting, and then Taylor just walks up to me. He's like, "What are you guys doing tonight? Want to come dancing?" And they're just like,
they considered it.
He's like, nah. He's like, come on, man. It's gonna be fun. We're just there to have friends and make friends. You can bring your sign and everything.
They thought they were about to like engage in discourse, and I was like, "Y'all want to go dance?" And they just like broke them down.
What? They didn't know what to do.
They can't compute. Can't compute.
So I like to focus on building community first, get through all the BS, and then try to engage in political discourse. Like,
I feel like that's a good move.
Yeah, it takes a lot longer, but it's been way more successful that I've seen, in my opinion.
All right, so you're online. 2A Daddy is
Yes,
your
sir.
handle on all the social media platforms.
Yes, sir.
2A Daddy. Where can we find you, Anthony?
You can find me on Instagram at A Watson Jam, kind of like what you spread on toast.
A Watson Jam, 2A Daddy. Taylor Winston and Anthony Watson. I appreciate you guys coming in and spending some time with us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, and I hope you guys have a rocking event tonight in Murfreesboro and on Thursday in Chattanooga. Keep pushing that message of
Thank you so
freedom
much.
to the kids. We need it. We
Always.
appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you.
It is 11:55 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's 11:59, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. If you want to hear a conversation out of context, as the commercial breaks were ending, I said to Chad, I prefer Black Gallagher.
Yeah, that's pretty good, but Gallagher.
And
Gallagher is a comedian, for those of you who don't know.
But I feel like that's all we should say. Let's not give him
That's
too much
it?
context to the conversation.
No, let everybody know what's going on.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I don't know if I did that yet, but just in case, Better Water LLC. We don't need those frogs doing what those frogs do. BetterWater.com. Chad, what do we got coming up on the show today, my man?
Oh, I don't know. We're going to talk about why are guys taking their eyelashes off? Such a weird thing.
Eyelashes or eyebrows?
Eyelashes. It's like the new thing for dudes.
No eyelashes? Isn't there like a strategic purpose behind the eyelash to keep the dirt out of the eyes?
Yeah, but these guys think it's something, I don't know, maybe they think it's sexy or something. We're going to talk about that. We'll talk a little bit of Alcatraz, which I think is hilarious.
I love it.
So,
I love
which is never going to happen, by the way.
It's Magatraz now.
It's never going to happen. So we'll talk a little bit about that.
It's real to me, damn it.
Yeah, I know. It'll be fun, right? Like Trump's just like, it's just a great place to put a store. He just wants to sell merch.
I just think it's hilarious, the whole thing.
So we'll talk a little bit about that. Probably, a bunch of wacky stuff. And an interesting thing, a new book is out written by a dude who was a big-time writer for the New York Times about COVID and how bad the kids were screwed. And it is coming from a guy that is on the super left. It was like, anything Trump said, people ran the opposite.
Yep.
And it goes, the damage was tremendous.
100%. Chad's in next. Looking forward to this. It's